Welcome, welcome, YouTube. Happy New Year, everyone. Hope everyone had a fantastic holiday season. I'm joined here with my co host, Mr. Ike. Mr. Ike, how are you doing today?
I am doing well. Good to see you. It's been a while.
Very good. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you and to all our viewers out there.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I hope everyone had a great holiday season and enjoyed their time with their families. That's most important. Uh, but yeah, Ike. So you know, we're now on what, number 8, home theater
Yep,
hub number 8.
yep.
Right.
Slowly building the numbers.
And look, I think we're booked out for January, which is
Yes,
fantastic.
yes.
So listen, if you guys would like to be a guest on the show live, give us a live theater tour of your home. Doesn't have to be nothing fancy. Could be a living room setup, could be a bedroom setup, could be a spare bedroom setup or a garage setup. Doesn't matter. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, please reach out to our email, hometheaterhublive@gmail.com. And we'd love to have you on just to talk about your theater and describe what you got going on, your thoughts of your equipment and everything else.
Yep.
So we do have a special guest one today. I consider him very special. I consider him a dear friend. Um, he and I met on through Facebook along probably about what 4 years ago now.
Mhm.
Mr. John Anthony. Mr. John Anthony is the for those of you that don't know, he's the moderator for the home. Excuse me, for the Monolith HT enthusiasts, along with the Lumigen Mad VR Panamorph HT enthusiasts on Facebook. He's the owner of those groups. And as I mentioned before, just a dear friend of mine, he and I bounced home theater ideas off of each other for several years now. When we first met, it was almost like we were courting each other, texting each other in the middle of the night, sending pictures of home theater. Our wives were looking at us like we were crazy at 3 a.m., just sending all kind of ideas and pictures. Mr. John Anthony, Happy New Year to you, sir. Glad you could
Ha-
finally join the show.
Thank
Yep.
you for having me. Happy New Year, Don. Happy New Year, Ike. Thank you for having me.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
absolutely. It's been something I've been looking forward to for a while. I told John Anthony that Ike and I were going to be starting this show, and I would love to have him on a regular basis as a co-host also, and just to give his input because he's definitely a wealth of knowledge when it comes to home theater. He's been doing this for a long, long time, a lot longer than me, and a lot longer than a lot of people that I know. John, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us where you got started, how you got started in home theater.
Well, I wanted to join you guys since you started the podcast. Just I've been crazy busy with Christmas and with the holiday with the family, so I felt a little bit left out that I haven't been able to been on the podcast at all. But finally able to make my entrance. So thank you for that awesome introduction. I really appreciate it. I don't consider myself an expert of home theater or anything. I'm just an enthusiast. That I've been doing this for a very very long time, and to think back, probably I started when I was 14. Back in beginning of high school, middle school, pretty much. What got me started is back then. I don't know if you guys remember Circuit City. So I, for some reason, ended up at
Absolutely.
Circuit City buying something. I don't know what. Probably just looking around, browsing. Back then, you didn't have any money to buy much of anything.
Right,
So
right.
they have a small little corner of home theater setup, and it was the just the Bose. I think back then I don't even know if it's the Bose acoustic that came out back then or not, but it's just a small little Bose setup, and they had the Fugitive scene playing over and over again, and it's that scene of when Harrison Ford jumped out of the train. I don't know if you guys remember that. It's been a long time since I've seen
Absolutely.
that movie,
Yep.
So when that scene, when he jumped out and you see the train just pass by the screen, you can hear the movement of the sound from your left speaker to your speaker to your right speaker, and that just went wrapped all around. They were just using 3 speakers at the time. I don't even think they have a full Dolby setup or anything like that, and that was just mesmerizing to me at the time. And I think I remember I was standing there watching that same scene for like an hour over and over again. So when I got home, of course, monkey see, monkey do. I tried to duplicate that in my small little bedroom. So I
Absolutely.
went, I went and gathered to the old speaker that my dad had, hook it up to a stereo system, and that was the first time I was introduced to music and audio in which it's not coming from a TV. Because before that, you just rely on whatever audio that you have from the sound of your TV. But from that point on, I tried to duplicate that at home. And finally, I was able to save enough money. This is probably 2 or 3 years later into high school. I was able to save up enough money and got a pair of Snell speaker. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it. It's spelled Snell. It's from it's a pretty high end speaker back then. Not crazy expensive, but it's a dipole speaker. And that was the first time that I had experience with playing with a dipole. So it has a tweeter and a subwoofer in the front, and then it has a small little tweeter shooting out sound in the back, so that it reflects off of your wall. So that was at that time it was probably the best thing you can get. That's close to a surround sound because you can actually hear some of the reverberations off of your wall in the back of the speaker. And from that point on, it's just I've pretty much gone down into this long rabbit hole of try to build up my home theater and get the next best thing pretty much. And initially I was very into television. I everything I watched was on TV. And the first um, the first big screen television that I had was it's a back projection television. It's the 50-inch Toshiba, one of those big box it weighed like 200 pounds that you have to wheel around. So that was one of the big screen that I was able to get in my room, and I was immersive. The first movie I watched on it was Heat, and the other thing about myself too is I'm a big movie fanatic. I'm not just about the speakers, the gears, the electronics. I'm all about watching movies and watching TV shows, putting those equipment to use. So the first movie I watched on that TV was Heat, and it was amazing. The sound that came out of it with the gunshot at the end, with the chasing scene that they had at the end, and you can hear the gunshot. It was just incredible. But I was not introduced to uh, projectors pretty much until close to the end of my college year when one of my old roommate he finished school before me, so he got a job and he was making pretty good money, and he invited me over to his house, and he had a very small simple projector that he projected onto a white wall. It didn't have any screen or anything, and we were watching The Rock, and there wasn't anything that I experienced before that resembled that. And he didn't have any nice speakers or anything. It was just the immersion of the big screen. I think he projected about 60-inch at the time. This was back in the late 90s, and a 60-inch screens on your wall. There's nothing to replace that. So I fell in love with projections. So the first projector I got was I think it was either an Epson or Panasonic first. I've been through many different projector, and that was the first projection I got in my home back then when I was living in Ohio. I set it up in a small little bedroom that was
Right.
probably 10 feet by 12 feet in width, small little projector. I put it on just a white wall, and I play the Star Wars scenes from the beginning, and it was amazing. It was so dark in the room, and that was it. I'm like, okay, now I know. I need to have a projector from now on to for the rest of my life. I cannot go back to television at all.
And
and
what
and
was that first projector that you had? Do you remember?
I think it was a Panasonic, either Panasonic
Okay.
or just or just an Epson. Like the smaller Epson, I bought it for like $500. Wasn't anything
Okay.
expensive at all.
Very
Yep.
good. Ike, are you able to share that picture that I put up here? We're just going to
Yes.
show. We're just going to show the entrance or the. This is. I believe this is outside of your theater. Of how you spoke about how you're a movie collector and that you actually like movies. Uh, there's just a little collection that you got going on over there. I'd s- I'd say you're addicted.
Hey, Paul, how
Yeah,
you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Mis-
So,
Mr.
so I
Paul,
think
come in.
so. I just want to mention. I believe this is how Don and I we met initially because we were sharing the 4K back then. I think that's 4K just came out not that long afterward. That's when we got. I think Don got like 15 4K movies, and I got maybe 10 of them because initially I before I met Don, I thought streaming was good enough for me. I didn't know about you have to play the 4K on a 4K player or anything like that. Well, I'm cool with Netflix. So I didn't buy too many I didn't buy too many physical media at all. So after talking to Don and we start exchanging. Initially we were exchanging our. So when you buy a 4K disc, they give you a digital code, right? So you can download it on your Apple TV or whatnot.
Movies
So
anywhere.
since
Yeah, I was using
movies
movies
anywhere.
anywhere. Yep.
Yep, and Voodoo. So once you have the disc, you don't really need the digital code because what's the point of having a digital code on top of that? So Don and I we start talking. We're like, hey, let's exchange digital code because I own the movie, you own the movie, and we just exchange it. So it just helped build
Exactly,
our
Paul.
collection.
We only did that for a short stint,
For a
though.
short
So
period of time because then after that we were like, okay, we need to buy more physical media,
yeah,
pretty
we
much.
found out very quickly that we needed to partake in the physical media because it was just so much better. And John Anthony, he was there when I was, he's been there with me the whole time, like bouncing ideas off of the theater. I have the note, and I would like draw drawings on the note and send it to him, and he'd be like, "What the hell is this?" So, oh, this is how
It's
I'm going to
not
construct this. This is how I'm going to do
it's
that.
not Adobe spec pretty much.
So, so you
I'm like,
so you saw Don do his upgrades before he installed anything.
Installed it. Yeah.
oh yeah,
Well, I'm at
before
my
he even
fourth
broke down the
upgrade. Yeah.
wall.
Yeah, yeah.
Ha-
No,
ha-
so
has he shared the completion date with you? Because that's something that we're not yet certain about.
When the,
When is it
it,
going to
it
get
is set.
completed?
It is set in the near future.
thank you for that. Appreciate that. No, so here's a funny story. So my wife, she comes home the other day and she says, "Hey, I got a drywall guy for you." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, we were talking about home improvements, and one of the people at her work, he's got a guy for everything." So she actually reached out to this drywall guy. So that shows you how under fire I am right now, not only from
hmm
you guys but from her. So so hopefully I can get. I have a friend of mine. A friend of mine offered to help. He actually used to do drywall, and he gave me a price for the weekend of $1,000, which doesn't sound bad, right? But in my eyes, a friend comes over for some pizza and a some beer. You know what I mean? And helps you bang it out. So I'm like, well, I don't mind giving him some money, but shoot, if I got to be in there helping you and doing everything else for for that kind of money, and I know it's still a steal, but I almost could just pay somebody. I've gotten other bids for like 3,500, and I wouldn't have to touch anything. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Just and it would be done in 2 days. So, but
That's
yeah, he
that's why
he
you
gave
need
me
to
his
move to.
price today.
That's why you need to move to Texas. You can get this thing knocked out for $1,800.
Everything is cheaper in Texas, man.
Everything's cheaper in
Yeah,
Texas.
speaking of that,
When
Ike and
he told me
John
about
are
the
neighbors.
drywall. Yeah, he told me about the drywall. It's like, oh, I got to pay what is it? It's $5,000. I was like, for dry?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Building a house?
No, my
Yeah.
highest
Pay
bid,
that
my
much for
highest bid
drywall?
was
6,000, right?
It was
Yeah.
$7,800 just to hang. It was double sheets of drywall. Literally, it's 23. I have two walls that are 23 and a half foot long by 9 feet tall. And then the back wall is 18, which has a door in it. So you're not, it's 18 by 9, and you're not doing nothing for the front wall whatsoever because it's all just going to be fabric in. And so yeah, and one guy came in, he was like 7,800. But I understand, I owned a lawn and landscape business for a long time, right? And if we had a busy day and somebody stopped by, say, "Hey, I'm having a party on this weekend. Can you tomorrow? Can you please come cut the grass?" And if I didn't want to do it, I'd be like, "Okay, that's going to be $200, and they'd say, if they said no, okay, that's fine. If they said yes, okay, well, I just tripled my price for what I would want, right? So I definitely understand the business and how it works. So not faulting anybody or their business and their employees, because running a business definitely costs a lot of money. You got workman's comp, you got insurance. I've done this before, so I definitely understand. And
Hey,
it's
that's why you have to reach out on the app during the after hours, not during their work
Hmm.
schedule. But
That's a
I
great
guess
exactly.
that's
idea.
I
Yep.
guess that's a Texas thing. But
Yep.
ideally, you walk up to there like, hey, dude, I got this much cash. I can pay you when you're done with your regular day-to-day job. Stop by and let's knock this out.
Yeah, we got guys that stand at Home Depot, but I'm afraid that my house might nothing in my house will be left after I bring them to here. So
That's very true.
This sounds like a Florida problem.
the other thing is that when I have time to do the work, I actually enjoy going in there and doing the work. I can't say that I enjoy drywall. I don't mind hanging it. It's more the sanding portion and the mudding portion that I dislike. But I've actually finished out two basements before up in Baltimore. So I mean, it's not something that I'm unfamiliar with. I've did framing. I've done the plumbing. I've never done electrical, but I've done all the other stuff. So it's just having the time, as I mentioned in all the other shows, is having the time to with a 4-year-old and wanting to take that time away being with him and my family, to go in there and do it, and not go on vacations and everything else like that. So it's just prioritizing family first. So, but getting back to John Anthony, and by the way, Paul, thank you again for joining us. How are you doing, sir? Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I honestly thought you guys weren't on for another hour, so I just saw a live notification. I was like, "Oh, well, I guess I'm late." So that's that's twice this week.
I sent you a text message.
I obviously didn't get it.
No
um,
problem. It's all good. Look, this show is exactly like that, though. Look, I want
yep.
everybody that we've had on just to come in and pop in and out at their at their will. That's exactly what we want. We try to line up guests, but hey, if you got something that you've done and you want to show off, all of our previous guests have the link to the show. So by all means, just pop in whenever you guys want. That's absolutely fine with us. We want it to be a community of people just talking and showing off their stuff and sharing everything. So by all means, if you guys have the link and you can pop in for 10, 20 minutes and or stay the whole duration, that's absolutely fine with us. So back to John Anthony. Like he said, we met through Facebook, and you know we bounce ideas off of each other, and I've actually watched his theater go through some major transformations, and I guess I need after hearing John Anthony here, I guess I need to isolate myself from people because now I think I'm now on like the third or fourth person that I've influenced to really go down a deep rabbit hole. So,
Yeah,
you know,
deep rabbit hole is an understatement.
Well, boy.
yeah, because
I think it's like a
Jonathan that
second
was on here.
mortgage already. Yeah, I think I spent like a
Yeah,
second mortgage since
Oh
then.
man, yeah, it can get there quick, too.
Yep.
Very quick.
yeah, I
And you'll
like
see.
spending
You
other
see.
people's money. Apparently,
Yeah. That's the
Yeah.
word on the street, Don. Is that you
Yeah,
spend
that
you
that
spend other
that area of
people's money.
physical media is not, it's not the where the big money is. That's just the beginning.
put us all back up on the big screen there, Mr. Ike. So, Mr. John. So, we talked about how you've gotten into the home theater and what strived you. What did Santa bring you this year? What did Santa bring you for all Christmas in the audio world?
Oh yeah, so so after watching your podcast, another good influence, I went and bought a steering wheel
Oh, thank you,
for my
Fred.
PlayStation 5. Of course I did too.
Nice.
Oh, like, oh my god, another rabbit hole that I'm going down. I
Man,
was tempted to buy the gloves to go with it too, because they do sell the gloves.
Did you get the shoes too? I'm talking about your
Yeah, you
racing
can
shoes.
definitely blame Fred for that. Yeah,
Yep.
yes.
that's awesome.
I
Yeah,
got the
if I go to
steering
my
wheel and
history on YouTube here, you'll see that I just watched somebody put together a racing simulator. So that will probably be a rabbit hole that I go down once the theater is fixed. So because
yep.
right outside of the theater, I'm going to do like a playroom slash like
Hmm.
game room for my son. So
Yep.
yeah, I'd imagine that that's going to wind up going in there too.
So where I'm sitting right now, this is right outside of the theater. It's my little media area. So
Okay,
I
very
love it.
good.
I love the setup. Yep.
So, you know, one thing like Fred and Jonathan, you're very big into music also, just from speaking to you, and I think that's how you got your start prior to home theater. Is that correct or no?
Yep. So it's this is actually a really good story. So initially I was very much into two channel listening, and that's why I got the Snail speaker. Paul, have you ever heard of Snails? I forgot the creator of Snail. His name I forgot. It's escaping
I
me.
don't
It's just a one guy.
remember.
It's yep.
Yeah, they
So
even had
Snails.
some that show that I went to, and man, they were being very careful taking that thing out because they're extremely
Yeah.
expensive.
Some of them can go up to like 20, $30,000. I got like the
Oh wow.
introduction one back in the mid 90s. I saved enough money, and it was the most expensive pair of speaker that I owned. It was $1,000 for the pair. And back then, someone who's in high school, not making any money, and was able to save up 4,000. I'm like, that's all of the money I was able to save up just to get that pair of snail and a snail speaker. And I was at the audio store, and I remember my sister was the one who drove me there because it was in Maryland. Back then, we lived in Virginia, so it was about an hour and a half drive into Maryland to an audio shop. And I was sitting there listening to those snail speakers for like 2 hours before finding a way to say, hey, how am I gonna find the money to get this? And my sister helped me out with a few $100s. She's like, if you really like it, let's pack it up. And when we packed it up and we stuffed it into her Celica, so the small little, I still remember this, the small little Toyota Celica, and it was raining cats and dogs, and it was big enough that we couldn't bring the box home with us, so we had to strip down the box, somehow find a way so that those speaker doesn't get wet, and put in the back of the trunk in the Celica to bring it home. So long story short, I was very much into two channel stereo listening music, all of that. And then when I built my first home theater and go to a initially it was a 5.1, so I had five speakers in my home in Ohio with with a center speaker right underneath the screen and one subwoofer, and then start listening to music in a 5.1 channel. That was just eye opening. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can feel the music moving around the room
Right.
everywhere, and you can hear the instrument from behind you, from in front of you. That was amazing. Um, but the thing is, lately in the past year, I've gone back to two channel listening, and and I have I because after that I was also listening to a lot of Dolby Atmos music, and it's great, but it's lossy. It's still not lossless. So
Right.
I have ditched two channel listening for almost over 20 years. So I have not been listening to any stereo at all for 20 years, and now I came back to stereo listening. That was great. It's like rediscovering a new hobby again, and
Right.
also a new rabbit hole to go down. So, so I just went and ordered the Eversolo DMP A6. So definitely, I would love to show it to you guys once I get it.
Yeah.
Once I get it
Let's do
delivered.
an unboxing live on the show.
Yeah,
It
we
looks
can
like
definitely do
it
that.
looks like you don't need Don's help going down his rabbit
No,
holes.
I
Yeah.
don't, because I'm gonna try to influence Don to go into two channel music listening with me. The
Here you
Don,
go.
difference
You're
tell,
returning the favor. Yeah,
I'm
you
yeah,
have a
returning.
whole nother room.
The difference that impressed me the most is now that you go back to two channel and it's all lossless audio and high resolution audio, because the best we got back then was CDs. So
yep.
now you're going back to high resolution, you can hear so much more detail that you cannot hear in an Atmos track. It's just a different experience. Granted, you're not going to hear sound coming from the side or from the back, or but you more focus on the music in front of you, and
Right.
that's what I really enjoy lately.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked a little bit prior about demo material, and I'm sure everybody knows the Hotel California, where the airplane flies over top and over top of you and everything else like that. So I do enjoy a good soundstage when a two channel is put together, very nicely. A two channel setup is put together very nicely. It's not that I don't listen to. I don't enjoy music, but a lot of the music I listen to is hip hop. So it's not like your classic rock and stuff like that, to where it's, and I may be mistaken now. I don't know if they're doing hip hop and two channel, but I
Yeah.
would, I would think, you know, that it was more geared towards the older classic rock and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, and I listen to that too. My wife is an 80s and 90s classic rock person all day long. Guns N' Roses, Metallica,
Mhm.
Poison, all the, all those. So, when we're in the car, I listen to her playlist, and she's got to suffer through mine. So, because mine is the old school hip hop. I was I was actually watching a TikTok of a guy picking up his daughter, and he was jamming. He was breakdancing in front of the school, playing Jam on it," real loud out of his car,
Wow.
and I was like bebopping to it. So yeah, I like old school hip hop. So, uh, but yeah,
Yeah.
no. That's the reason why I've not gotten into two channel as much. Not that I don't enjoy it, but definitely, if I do hear a good system setup, I can sit there and definitely appreciate what people have done, to achieve those big sound stages and stuff like that.
Yep.
So, so you got the Everrose, right? Or you got that on ice for right now. That should be coming in. Any other new additions coming in?
Yeah, this gonna be a big decision which I haven't made yet, but I am in a negotiation with the 800 diamond uh, D3 from Bowers and Wilkins, the big boys.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, from my local AV store down the street here from us in San Antonio. So the owner actually bought that about a year ago, the 800 Diamond series, and so there's a new model that came out recently that he just wanted to change the color. So he just, and to him, money is no object. He owns the AV store,
Right.
so he put it up at the store for sale, and it's a decent price, but it's not low enough to where I feel comfortable buying it. But I think that would be my ultimate two channel, and I have experienced the 800 series. I've listened to it at least for the past 5 to 6 years, multiple different places. So I know the sound signature really well, and I know exactly what I like in that sound signature, because they have the Focal there for $56,000,
Oh wow.
and
The
I thought
Utopias,
it was
Grand
the
Utopias.
Utopia. Yep, and I thought it was too much bass. To me, the sound did not feel balanced. I felt the bass was a little bit elevated, and the mid range is great, but the tweeter is not as clear as the Bowers and Wilkins to my ears. So that's
Okay,
why
and that's the beryllium tweeter in those
the
Utopias
beryllium
also.
tweeters, yeah,
Yep.
the beryllium tweeters, yeah, it's supposed to be really bright, but actually it's not as bright. So it felt a little bit not balanced. You hear a little bit too much bass. So I think it would be a great pair of speakers for hip hop music,
Hmm.
because you don't really need a sub in that. It kicks down to 13 hertz.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so really you don't, and I think it sounds better with all of these big speakers. It probably sound better without a dedicated sub. But to me, it felt a little bit not balanced, and also I don't have $56,000 to get that pair of speaker anyhow. So that's out of the question. But I just wanted to try it out. There's the smaller brother of the Focal. It actually sounds better. The one I think it's like $26,000. They have those two, and it actually sounds more balanced and more clear to me. That's why I think with mainly with speakers, I know it's you can do all of the research online, you can read all of the article, you can watch all of the YouTube's video, but it's not the same unless you go there and listen to it, because
Right.
your ears and my ears are not the same
Yeah.
Exactly.
at all.
Yeah, and we it's a good segue of you know your home theater is we know that you're a fan of, or I know that you're a fan of Bowers and Wilkins, and they have that tweeter that sits atop. Well, most of the lineups have the tweeter that sits atop. What's it, the 700 series, to
Yep.
where it sits
So
outside of the cabinet.
Yeah, I think the 800s also have it. The 804 series, right? Have those too.
yeah. So yeah, I like the tweeter sitting on top, because you get a little bit of separation, and you can hear a little bit clearer in terms of not. I don't think you can really notice that much in movies, but especially when you listen to music, you can definitely notice a difference on the
Very
separation.
good, Mr. Paul. What's new in Mr.
Yeah.
Paul's world?
Nothing, nothing new so far this year. I finished making my little snippet of my barcade. It's not any professional, work, but it was learning for sure on my video skills that I haven't done in a while. I'm like, oh man, I'm rusty.
Well, I can tell you that
So,
I received the link to that video, and I can't wait to share it because I think that that you did a fantastic job on it. So
thanks. I
I
even paid a little tribute to your guys' channel on
yes, I
Yeah,
saw that.
it.
that space looks completely different. It looks almost bigger for some reason. Maybe because it was just empty the last time I saw it.
Yep,
But now it looks like, yeah.
Yep, most people see an empty selling houses is the same way. if a place is empty, people see it as smaller. I'm one of the
Hmm.
few that see space and uh, but yeah, now that I've just have more than just that dining room table that I've never used and
Right.
and
Yeah, I understand
it's
that.
so
That's
yeah,
that's
the
where
whole
that's where
room
my
altogether.
little game room is going to go, also in the dining room, out just outside of the theater area. So,
Yeah, and
uh,
everything that I have looks tiny because the ceiling's 12 foot tall. So, like Tons has a 142-inch screen and it looks massive because it's filling up the whole wall, it's touching the ceiling, and mine probably looks like 110-inch compared to his,
right,
but my entryway is like 8 foot,
Food,
and
yeah.
you don't have that perspective, and it's ultra wide entries, so it just looks
yeah,
small until you see a person, and you're like, whoa, what the hell?
yeah.
Like, yeah,
I
I can't even
took
touch
pictures
the
of
top.
my setup from my house, like from my living room setup with my 75-inch TV, and I took pictures and I'm showing people. People are like, "What is that? Like a 55?" I'm like, "No, man, that's 75." You know,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly,
because
yeah, you just
because
can't.
like you said, the ceiling height and
The ceilings are so
everything else.
tall, and you're like, oh, that's a little baby. Oh, do you got a 42-inch OLED in there or what?
I'm telling my wife I need to get a 100-inch TV just so I can share my pictures, right? so,
Yeah.
so
Yep,
Ike, how about
yep.
yourself? I know we talked a little bit about some Christmas presents that you had coming in, or review material that you have coming. Anything that you could share with us for the upcoming week?
No, I have not even been able to do any
Nothing.
work, just dealing,
Hey,
dealing.
holidays consume you, man. I
Yeah, the
understand.
holidays and getting the baby back in good health has been priority for us. So,
Oh
but
man.
yeah, but yeah, I have boxes just sitting in here, and I'm hoping to be able to get back to start reviewing. What I ended up doing though was moving my office space around so that I can have a proper setup to do an unboxing and all that kind of stuff in the office versus having to go out to the theater and set up. And then I should have some additional in-ceiling speakers coming in tomorrow. So I think part of the goal, the next steps for me in the home theater is expanding it to a 9.6 because now I have
Okay.
the processor to be able to handle that. So I built some additional columns, which is something that I should have shared, but I've been sitting on that video. I built some additional columns and floating columns where I can add those front wide speakers and the height speakers, the ceiling speakers are coming in tomorrow. So I
Oh,
might
very
get
good.
those installed. Yeah, I
Do we
might
have a
get
brand name
those.
that you can give, or is that
It's
still
just it's RSL. It's
okay?
RSL. I went to the RSL. I think it's the Mac twos.
All right.
Yeah, I thought about you getting on ceiling speakers, but man, just the dimension of all the different ones I was trying to check, I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna suck it up and just go with the aesthetics of having it in ceiling. I
Right.
know
Right.
I thought about really having the on ceiling, but I'm like, if it's not like the Arundels or something, all the other bookshelf speakers that I thought about, they're just too big because I don't have very high ceilings. It's 8 foot,
Hmm. Okay.
and yeah, it's 8 foot, and anything that comes below my existing star ceiling is just going to be already too low. Right,
Exactly.
so I was
Yeah.
just like, I'm just gonna stick with the in ceiling, and
You have a riser too in the back,
yeah,
correct?
there's a riser too at the back, so it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's not gonna work well. But yeah, I think that's what I'll be working on this weekend is um, setting up the new processor, um, running my cables all over again, which is what I did. I spent all of yesterday running some additional wires for the speakers, and then I went back this evening prior to getting on the show. I went and um, just reorganized all the wires, the speaker wires at the rack, just to get ready for the weekend and all that.
I see.
So busy weekend coming. Busy weekend.
Yeah, yeah. For me also, I'm busy with work this weekend, but I am going to try to fit in hanging my first piece of drywall probably, unless I have a miracle and somebody gives me a really good price on hanging the drywall. But I think I'll go ahead and try to get a piece
Man,
up, and then once I start, my goal is just hang a piece a day. You know, the one piece a
yeah,
day. Go in,
that's all it
put
takes.
put 12 screws in or whatever it takes to hang it, and if I can do more, great. If not, that's my goal is to get that started at least this weekend. Um, my Ravens, I'm glad they're sitting Lamar Jackson, so I don't really have to pay attention. Even though that is a rivalry game with Pittsburgh, and those are games are always good. So, but I would I'm happy that they decided to sit him. So it doesn't it doesn't matter since we've already clinched. So, and I say we because I actually am from Baltimore. So, but one thing that I've got I had come in is I think I've shared some pictures with some of you guys, but I bought a TCL TV. I think I kind of mentioned that last week, and a mount for the TV for the stream, and now I've put it directly behind my camera, so I can look right into the camera because I'm not disciplined enough to actually look into the camera yet. So it helps me with that. And then I also went ahead and bought this. It's a 10 gig Ethernet adapter to Thunderbolt because
Mm,
I upgraded my internet, and what that has allowed me to do is because the MacBook that I'm running off of, it's allowed me to pull about 3 gigs download and about 4 gigs upload.
nice.
So it definitely is an improvement. However, I do want to maximize my internet if I can. So what I am reading is that the computer that I have now, the Apple 2019 MacBook Pro, it just doesn't have enough cores to process 5 gigs that fast. So
Yep.
thinking about, I think John Anthony and I and Ike were doing a test run yesterday, thinking about doing one of those new Mac Studios or the new Mac Mini. But I really do have my eyes on the new M3 chip, so I
Mm.
may just go ahead and do the new the MacBook, which doesn't have the touch bar and all that stuff anymore, which I actually use that. I don't know if you guys use that touch bar or not, but
I mean,
I, I forget it's even there.
I
I'm
don't,
like,
I
oh
don't use
yeah.
mine.
I'm
Maybe,
old school. I don't
yeah.
know anything about touch bars at all.
Or maybe you could get a
Uh,
maxed out version of the M2. That's kind of the way I look at it, right? Because
yeah, I have a
usually,
Mac. I have a Mac Mini, and there,
yeah,
you don't have to go all out to get the
yeah,
speed and stuff like that. You can just get a, $800 one or even $600 one. I mean, unless you're really needing to use it as your video editing station, but
yeah,
even then,
because
those are pretty
they
powerful for that.
they have the straight up 10 gig port in them, the
Hmm.
Ethernet port, so you can get them with
Hmm.
that option. And you know, I actually reached out to Apple and asked them, did they have a trade-in program, because my MacBook Pro is literally just sat here. I don't even take it off the desk, so it doesn't have a scratch, it doesn't have a ding, it doesn't have anything. So it just sits here on my desk, and they said they would give me up to $1,100 for it. So just
You can
depending
probably
on.
get more when you trade in with Best Buy.
Oh, really? You can trade
Yeah,
it in at Best Buy
you can
also?
trade with Best Buy also, and they'll configure however you like. They'll order it for you.
Oh, very good. I didn't realize that.
Since you are still a Geek Squad member,
Yeah,
right? Mm-hmm.
Total Tech Support. Yep.
Total Tech.
Hmm. Yeah, I didn't
They'll
know
give
they
you
did
more money.
trade-ins there either.
Yep.
So, have you had experience in trading stuff in there or no?
No, I just throw them away. You know me.
Let me just burn this pile of cash over
But
here.
Like,
No,
can
I
I
understand.
send you my address? You can send it to me, and I'll help you trade them in.
Oh my gosh, like I have so many equipments lying on the floor everywhere around my house. Like I try to give them away as much as I can so I can get new stuff pretty much.
Mr. Techno Dad is in the house. What's going on, Techno Dad? How about you? All right, we're all burning cash over here in this home theater business. Techno Dad asks, "Who's burning cash?"
Yes,
It's definitely all of us.
all of us.
Yep.
Hey, we got CES coming up, guys. That's coming up, I believe, this Tuesday.
I see.
Anything,
I see.
anything that you guys are hoping for or would like to see, Ike?
I see Techno Dad is getting ready to be there. I'm looking forward to the new lineups of TVs, right? I know that kind of Hisense kind of stole the show in the last month or two with the
With that
100
100
inch
inch.
TV, and I'm looking to see if anyone has something similar or is going to at least try to.
You apparently haven't seen the new TCL.
Um,
Hmm.
well, I've heard about it. I haven't checked much into it, but yeah, TCL. But now I'm talking about, I'm looking at Sony and, LG trying to see, but I don't see them pulling that off in the OLED, maybe because their focus is on the OLED
Right.
market right now. But that's something that I'm looking forward to seeing, and also, you know, see if there's any hint of any new lineup of projectors, right? See if JVC is going to give a hint of something coming out 2024, or I'm not expecting from Sony, but I'm thinking maybe JVC might try to show us something that they
I would
haven't.
like to see that, but I would not like to see that. And that's because I got a brand new one sitting in the box that I've got about an hour on.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that
I'm telling you, it's going to be his third upgrade before he even announces
that
it.
yeah, no, I would like to see it. You know, they just came out with a firmware update, so I would think that they probably will not have an a new projector just because they came out with that firmware update. The
Yeah.
last time that they did that, a firmware update. They waited till after the new projectors were introduced, and they trickled it down.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't have any insider information. If they do, they do. Good news is I got mine on a good price, so I'm sure I could still be able to sell it for what I paid for it, and use that money towards whichever. I mean, shoot, what the 25th anniversary edition was 30,000. So what are they going to bump to 40,000 this year?
Yeah.
You know, I
I
hope
mean,
not.
I can buy the one you have. It might just take me a couple of monthly payments. $500 every month for the next 2 years. I don't mind
Hey,
doing that, but hey, come on, JVC, you got to come out with something so I can buy guns.
so I can help Ike out. Yeah, I didn't know that I just became Chase Financial.
Hey, hey, but yeah, because I think that's what. But I think Chad is just saying Sony might not be showing any TVs. That would not be fun.
Yeah, yeah, that wouldn't be good at all.
Yeah, that would not be fun. But it's yeah, that's really what
Paul,
I'm looking
anything
for.
you're looking forward to for CES?
And I haven't really thought about it. No, I mean, not really. I've been doing so much other stuff, and I'm looking at getting a new truck and a toy hauler to haul my
Oh, so you're looking
motorcycles. So
forward to the new Tesla space truck that's out.
yeah, no, I'm not looking for no battery operated nothing. I'm old school. I know I know the advantages and how amazing they are, and how people talk about how they can drive across country with them and stuff. But it's just, man, they're just I don't want to buy anything that I have to log in to repair when it comes to a vehicle.
Coffee machine,
That's
says Fred. That's what you're.
Hey,
That's what you're looking
yeah,
for.
yeah.
One that can make the leaf for you in your
Yeah.
coffee. You don't have to
There
do
you go.
that. How about you, John Anthony? Anything that you're
I
looking forward to?
I kind of have a feeling there's gonna be more company making ultra short throw projectors. Seems like it's picking up some momentum. How do you guys feel about
Yeah,
ultra
no, I
short
mean,
throw?
look, there. Well, the one that you actually own, the one that's leading the way, which was the AWOL 3500 Pro. So, and we'll get into that in a little bit. And essentially, I believe Hisense makes that particular projector, just branded at AWOL. With it's a Hisense projector with a little bit of extras in it. So, but yeah, it's like you said, it's definitely a upcoming category. That probably is going to see some advancement with Dolby Vision in a lot of these projectors. You know, I believe the 3500 has Dolby Vision,
Yep,
correct?
mine has Dolby Vision that I just turn it off because I have the Lumichin that's running it.
Yeah,
So yeah, so that's the only reason why I turn it off. I don't even use it at all. But yeah, it will be amazing for someone who doesn't have a processor, Lumichin or Mad VR. They can just the image quality on the Dolby Vision is gonna look amazing straight
yeah,
out the
yeah,
box.
yeah. No, I think they're pretty accurate right out of the box too for that. So one thing that I saw that Denon has finally announced their new receiver. What's it? The 6700H,
Mm.
6800.
6800.
6800H.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So Ike and I were talking about that a little bit ago. After several, about a year or so of announcing that they're finally coming out. I look forward to more of the setup that was in the Germani system at the other show. What was it? Not CES, but CEDIA.
Yeah.
I look forward to more of the all digital setup.
Mm-hmm.
For that technology to start trickling down into some of these lesser receivers, lesser costing receivers, and processors, so that we could actually take advantage of that. Not allowing any noise to enter into our speaker setups and stuff like that at all. Just be run through cat cable and switches and networking and everything else like that. So that's what I'm hoping to see.
Yeah, I just pulled
Very
up
nice.
the 6800. Yeah, but that
I
price
maybe
point though, that price point
yeah.
is a heavy for an
It's a lot.
11.4.
Mhm.
That is almost processor at
Yeah,
least
definitely.
AVM 70 or HTP one price
Yeah.
point.
Does it have the ability to expand to 13 channels? You know how some of
Uh,
them allow you to just add your own amplification.
I don't even think so. But this is the flagship, right? So
Them allow you to. Yeah.
I, yeah, I'm trying to see. I don't
I
think
think
so.
it's max at 11.4,
11,
isn't it?
11
Yeah, it's 11.
amplifiers.
Yeah,
11 amplifiers.
it's 11
What was the price on it?
3500.
3500. Yeah.
3500.
And how many? It's 7.6. Is it a 7 dot whatever dot 6, or how many channels
It
total
just
is it?
says it's
You get 11
11.4
channels of amplification and then four output, I
for
believe, for
output
your
for
subwoofers.
subwoofers. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
So you
but
can
how many
control the
does it
subwoofers. Yep.
processor? Is
Right.
how
That's what I
many
was
can
looking
it?
at.
Yeah.
yeah.
I
I'm
bet
trying
you
to.
it'll be
Scroll to the back.
7.4.4.
Let's see the back of that, Ike.
Okay, let me scroll up real quick. Sorry, and I'm
Oh, you
moving,
passed it.
moving quickly.
You had the back right there. It
On
was
a
a little
bigger
bit bigger.
picture. Okay,
Yep.
Yeah,
there you
right
go.
there. Yeah. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yep.
Yep. Oh, there are some heights on the top of there too, right? In the red,
Yeah,
12,
this height.
13.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it does give you the opportunity to assign those
Mhm.
other ones.
Yep. And I
What
put
about subwoofers?
the
Can you see
subwoofers
subwoofers?
are, yeah.
Four.
It says it supports 13.4 channel processing.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so
So
it
Yep.
same thing as they've done in the past. Allowed you to add amplification for a couple extra channels.
yeah, that's a
Yep.
pretty good deal because that means you could do zero point 0.6 overheads.
Right.
Overhead.
You
Yeah.
know.
And you got the four independent. I would like to think there's a four independent subwoofers.
Yeah, it says supports 13.4 channel
Four.
processing,
Yep.
Yeah, so the only
and
thing you'd
that's
be
just
missing on this is your
on the main
wides,
page.
or however you would set it up. So I guess it would only be 7 bed layers versus 9 bed layers.
Yeah.
No.
I
Under
mean, most
configuration.
people will probably use the six heights versus
Yeah.
nine bed layers, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But I think you'd probably get more benefit doing 9.4, 9.4.4 better than 7.4.6.
You have
But
your setup currently. What do you have, John Anthony, in your current
it's
setup?
too many channels to count.
Well,
uh,
we're gonna get a
I'm a
tour of it
big
in a
mess.
little bit here.
Yeah.
So
Let me go back to my four guests. Yeah,
yeah, I'm
but I
looking
think that
forward.
that price point is interesting. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
be. I
looking
think it's
forward to
gonna
some of
be.
that technology to trickle down, some of that
Hmm.
digital technology. I would love to go all digital, to be honest with you. I know that there's not going to be a huge difference, in the sound.
I'm waiting on Yamaha to come out with a new pre-pro.
Oh, okay. Keep it up with the Y pal. Why not?
The web power.
Yeah, hey, you know what? I've heard, the wides and the zero point 0.6 overhead and it's like it's I like the thought of doing the zero point 0.6 overhead just because the the depth of room, which you could also argue the point wides as well, because you could have that, intermediate section of audio.
Right.
But the difficulty, it's going to be way more difficult for me to set up wides because I there's a hallway there. There's no way I'm going to set a wide. I have a fireplace where a wide would be, and basically the walk path.
Yeah,
So I
You're gonna
wouldn't
have to do. I don't know
don't
if
be
you've
able
build
ever
the
to
seen
use
that
master
this.
video
room.
of the
Oh,
guy that has the Kef LS50s that drop out of the ceiling. His
oh
whole
yeah,
bed layer just drops out
just
of the
drops
ceiling.
down, right?
Yeah,
Where did you
yeah.
see that?
That's what you're gonna have to do.
Yeah.
Just to.
If I had the money to do that, I would just do a dedicated room somewhere else.
Nah, I'm just
You know
messing with
that,
you, of
but
course.
yeah, I hear you. That's sometimes I look at that though, and I like some people will do certain things to get better audio, and I'm like, for the price that you paid on that equipment, you could have just refinished an entire room at a tenth of the cost
Oh
and
yeah.
got even better audio
That's true.
Wait, so you're
with
saying my
way cheaper
so
equipment.
so you're saying my $30,000 speaker cables don't make any sense? I could have just used spray foam and
No,
paint over the walls.
it
Yeah,
was
there you go.
Kanga touched on this the other day. It's not your $30,000 cables. It's your $2,500 dental floss cable lifters
Yeah,
Yeah. The
that
that's
has
lift.
right.
made the
You got
difference.
it. You
Yeah.
got to
You need to
elevate
lift it off
elevate
the ground.
everything. To elevate your sound, you have to elevate your speaker wires. That only makes sense. You got to elevate it.
Got to keep that that electromagnetic charge off of it.
That so massively, capacitive, earth magnetism that's just affecting all our, I mean, I hear it when I lay on the floor, so, it just makes sense.
Yeah, my ears just buzz when that
Yeah,
happens,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
Okay.
So
I guess I'll send it back to Best Buy and think of something else.
Yeah.
yeah, just take them back. You have 45 days of your total tech support
Uh,
member.
There you go. There you go.
Well, Mr. John Anthony, I'd like to talk about your theater a little bit, if you wouldn't mind. Could you tell us about the dimensions of your theater? Your
yeah,
dedicated,
I
and
actually
first of all,
never.
before we dive into that, it's not as we heard, it's not one theater, it's not two theaters,
You got
but
plenty of
there are
theaters.
three setups for, and I had nothing to do with the last one. I had nothing at
So
all to
it's
do with the
Yes,
two
you
out
last
of
do.
one.
three, huh? 2 out of 3. Yeah.
Two out of
Actually,
three.
the second one, well, I did have a good influence
Uh huh.
on that one because, but I didn't have an influence on what I'm going to show here. Let me share this screen real quick.
Let me
Go
pull
to
that up.
next. Hold on. Let me share my screen. So this, what we're going to tease for tonight.
Let me
This
pull
right
that up.
here is one of Mr. John Anthony's setups.
Let me get that on the screen. Okay.
So take us through a little bit of this, John Anthony, where
Okay.
this is in your house.
So this is in my bedroom. So it's too. For my problem, my issue is everything has to be. You live in Texas. It's either go big or go home. So
That I agree.
so
That I agree.
so
Man, there you
so
go.
that is a 120-inch screen in the bedroom.
Uh,
Sitting.
And your wife is a saint. That's all I got to say. Because if I put those electrostat speakers in my bedroom, my wife would actually, I wouldn't be allowed to sleep in there. So,
She says she can sense the radiation vibrating through the walls pretty much. We're just looking to
so,
see when we're gonna have to go screen for brain tumors.
and the bad part about it, ladies and gentlemen that are watching, it doesn't end there. How many
No.
subwoofers are in the bedroom?
Right now, I downside it to two right now, but then I'm gonna have to add two more. So two more are coming.
So
So
two more
before subwoofer,
subwoofers.
two
We
two
got a
more
Lumagen
subwoofers.
processor. So this is a serious. This is a setup that anybody would die to have just in their living room or just one theater, not alone the other. So that we're gonna tease. We're gonna tease that just for
But
now.
Don,
But
as
we'll
you can
we'll get
see, the A wall. Look at how bright the screen is, and all of my windows are open.
yeah, they're wide open.
They're
Yeah,
wide
that's a
open.
fantastic picture. That's why I wanted to share that. I believe that's the direction that I'm going to go. However, this TCL with 20,000 dimming zones has made me reconsider at 115 inches
Yeah. What's the
that
price?
they
What's the
just came
price
out
point
with,
for? What's the price
Hmm.
point for that?
like 9,800, something like that.
Oh, that's a really good price point.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could be incorrect, but that's what I've heard somewhere around there.
They will
For
probably drop that
115
price.
inch.
It'll probably get down to about 7,500
That would be
by
awesome
by
because
Super
I would
Bowl.
gladly give my interest-free Best Buy credit card to take that thing home.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, no, that I am seriously considering this AWOL projector unless something new comes out for outside of my theater, um, and or this TCL that that I mean I saw the the what is it, the M8 at M Wave when I went there, and it was literally right next to the G3, the
Yep.
LG G3. It was next to the Samsung, and it was next to another Sony. No, it was next to a Hisense. The Sony wasn't out yet, but I mean, for the price point of the M8, which is I believe is going to be the same setup in this bigger model, it was like 3,000 no $4,000 cheaper than the G3, and it was 95% of the G3. I mean, it was just spectacular for that type of TV. So, but yeah, this is the bedroom setup. So give us some dimensions of your actual theater.
Yep. So it's been a long time since I measured the theater itself because usually I do everything by myself. But the total room is it's 780 square feet, and it's a rectangular shape. So it's a pretty big room, and I'm very
Okay.
lucky. And as you can see, I was very fortunate to have the room because when we bought this house, it was already there, so I didn't have to build anything at all, and it was used as an entertainment center area. It's not a home theater because the previous owner he had a TV in there, but it's his TV looks very small in that room, so it's a huge room, and it's elevated above my garage. So it's right on top of my garage. So it's pretty much isolated from the house. So even though it is connected to the house, it's pretty much really not connected to the house. So none of my kids sleep on that side of the house at all. So at nighttime, I can watch movies without worrying about waking anyone up because
That's good.
it's
So when you're if you decide to, and we'll get into your subwoofer setup in a little bit, but if you decide to really dig in, can you hear it throughout the house, or is it that far isolated?
you still can, but very at a very low volume, at like pretty much. And I walked around, tested maybe at 40, 50 decibels if you walk to the far side of the house, but it's not something that will wake anyone up. It's like you feel like a little humming from your AC unit pretty much.
Okay.
So it's
And what
very
about
isolated.
vibration? Does it
No,
resonate through
no,
the
because
house, or
not at all, because I decouple all of my subs. So
okay?
you can feel it when you sit there, but really when you leave the theater, there's really no vibration to the rest of the home,
Sure.
or else I would hear it from my wife already. She would be like, turn that thing down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I joke with John Anthony, in private. I say, um, because he would tell me that sometimes that he would be up there watching a movie, without his wife, and I joke with him all the time, saying, "Hey, just you just brought the theater to her in the bedroom, so instead." So, but yeah, no, it's a you definitely got a setup that I'm envious of, and I would love to get out there and take a tour of your theater and actually listen to it. I know we've had some thoughts about you actually own some property over here in Florida, and I've actually been thinking about coming out that way to visit. So,
Mhm.
I know we've had some talks about getting together in that area sometime. So, if you'd like, why don't you go ahead and get ready to where that we
Okay.
can start to go ahead
Yeah.
and do the tour,
Sounds good. Yep.
and that way we can give the people what they're looking for.
Yep.
Let me mute my.
So, Mr. Ike, what's on the? I know that you said that you're working on a bunch of stuff. Can you give any snippets of? You got any processors? You got any players? What can you give us a little snippet of what you got coming up?
I think, I mean, everyone knows that I do have the Art Evolution in house,
Okay.
and it's not even unboxed yet. And that's the first one that I need to work on because obviously they sent it to me for review, so I need to get to working on that. I do have my processor replacement, so um, I got my Sony projector back. I haven't even checked it to make
Oh,
sure that it's good, but Sony says it's a good projector. There's nothing wrong. They fixed it. Uh, well, there was nothing wrong, so there was nothing to fix. So they sent it back to me, and that came in yesterday. So I'll get it back mounted tomorrow and test it. I do have a company that sent me one of the something else to review, and it's one of those HDMI switchers to take a look at. And what else? The RSL speakers are coming in tomorrow, and what else? Yeah, I think that's all. There's one more that I can't talk about, but yeah.
right.
So I
So
have a
that
couple of
HDMI
things.
switcher, what is the purpose of that? What's the use case for that?
I think it's going to be similar to what the HD Fury Room does, right? It's
Okay.
2.1 switcher, but I think that the use case is going to be mostly for those who do not currently have an HDMI 2.1 AVR, but want to be
Okay.
able to enjoy some of the benefits without having to go out there and buy, which is the same thing the Vroom does, right? But I'll need to look into it and see. It's sitting right there on my desk. I haven't even touched it, but it's sitting right there on the desk.
Okay. So
Yeah,
I'm
and
trying to understand the purpose of it and the use case. So it's not something that your AVR or processor can do, uh, or it's just not your processor or AVR is just not 2.1. Is that what I'm gathering?
yeah, so I think and I don't want to misspeak about it, so
Yeah.
I need to. But it's the same thing. I think it's the same thing that the HD Fury does, right? It's like an audio extractor. It's
Okay.
HDMI 2.1, and you can use it with your non-HDMI 2.1 compliant AVRs. So it's just going to process, or if you're a gamer, if you have any of the current gen consoles,
So it has an
so
audio out and a video out, so you can
I
send
I like to think so.
120 frames, maybe 100, because a lot of the times the switchers are for two scenarios. One, split the audio so you can get full uh, bitstream audio to your
Yeah,
receiver
yeah.
versus going through your TV, and full 120 hertz to your new TV that may only have one input that will accept that.
Yeah. So
And
this,
that brings you to the second scenario. Some switchers have multiple inputs to where you can switch between two or three devices that may be 120 hertz or so on and
so
so on.
so this one has just I just took it out the box, but it does have a single HDMI in and HDMI out, and it's HDMI 2.1, supports 48 gigs. It has all the HDMI 2.1 specs. Um, yeah, Dolby Vision, HDR10, HDR10 Plus, HLG. Yeah,
So
so
one in
it's
and one out. Yeah, I'll be curious I
yeah.
mean, if it does some sort of tone mapping type of deal, like you
I am
said.
also curious about that, and that's part of why it's something I wanted to take a look at when I got it. So I am very curious to see. I am very curious to see that too. You're not alone on that one.
Yeah,
But
because if
yeah,
that's
that
the case, there are some products that will, you know, like, everybody's looking forward to projectors that will handle Dolby Vision, right? Essentially, what that means is, oh, I want to spend my money on a sticker that really doesn't mean anything because Dolby Vision spec will never be able to be truly met on any
Right.
projector, and frankly, a lot of OLEDs it barely meets, if at all, according to the full spec. But there's enough of a difference and maybe enough tone mapping, which you could do again, like you guys said, with a LumenGen or a Mad VR, that supersede that sticker. But like you said, I'm looking forward to the technology to where hopefully in 5-10 years, Mad VR is like, well, yeah, that's just a $5 part that comes in every processor, so.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think the ultra short throws have a much better chance to achieve that that specification for Dolby Vision, just because.
Yeah, a lot more than rear projectors.
Yeah, but I think also it's because they have this fixed screen size, right? I think that's the biggest challenge with Dolby, right? With Dolby Vision is Dolby wants you to be able to say, for 120-inch screen size, I have, let's say, 1,000 nits, right?
Right.
And that's it. And then they can give you the certification for that. But if you do that on a JVC projector, there's no telling if Don is going to use it on a 250-inch screen, and then it falls out of spec, right? Because Dolby certified it for, let's say, 125 in diagonal, and then Don is going to put it on a 250, and I'm going to use it on a 145-inch diagonal.
Right. Exactly.
So that's the challenge, that comes with getting that Dolby specs. But for the ultra short throws, many of them come with a fixed 120-inch screen. So it's easy to go say, all my screens are 120-inch screen. Anybody who's using it is probably going to use it on that screen. So we want certification.
But if, their most recent 115-inch, TL or TCL TV from Linus Tech Tips that was reviewed is anything that will negate any ultra short throws. Because if that's only $12,000, you're not getting a decent screen, a decent short throw projector with, that will even touch what that TV's capable of as far as Dolby Vision and HDR. I mean, you would have to get a near field Barco to be able to get close to that,
Yeah, I think the combination for the 3,500 for the retail on that is like what's for the 120-inch screen. I want to say it's around $6,000, something like that.
Well, yeah, and that's not bad, but that's not bad. I mean, it's less than 12 grand for sure.
Right. Yeah, and then if you do like John Anthony did, you throw a processor on it. Because it doesn't have its own tone mapping.
I will argue with myself on a point. The advantage of the ultra short throw versus a TV. I mean, a TV 115 is huge. It's heavy. It's one piece. Versus an ultra short throw, you got a box that weighs whatever 40 pounds and a screen that weighs maybe 30. That pretty much anybody can. Ship. You can roll the screen up and get it to a comparable dimension for shipping and stuff like that. But so there is.
Are you ready, John? If you're ready, let me know. We can.
Yeah.
You're ready.
Let's go ahead and get that. Let's go ahead and get drum roll, please. Let's get that.
Can't believe you.
Going.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Okay. So this is the outside, and I put the camera on a stand, so hopefully it's not too shaky. But pretty much this is my physical media area in which I store all of my Blu-ray, 4K Blu-ray, and all of that. And I don't play them anymore. Everything is ripped into two Synology NAS drive, and I'll show you the NAS drive at the end of the tour. So this is where I was sitting on our right-hand side here, this is just a little decoration art. So I was thinking of replacing the James Bond one with eventually with one of those 65-inch TV so that it can display the artwork and you can roll it. But still haven't had a chance
The digital movie posters,
to
is that what you're speaking of?
yep, correct. Digital
Yeah.
movie poster. And I think I can do it myself because there is a power outlet right underneath there that I can just plug into it. But I don't know if I want to see a cord hanging
There's
down.
I watched a video of uh, a recent tour. I'll have to find it and send it to you. But the guy
Yeah.
actually
Hmm.
purchased the TV already set up for it, and it it was an elaborate theater, but it was already set up to roll the movie posters. It didn't take him anything. All he did was plug it in, and it was already set up. Just hook it to his Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually just built one for my own entryway, and there's a couple of free softwares out there. It takes less than 45 minutes to set up, and
Just up.
I just used a Samsung. I think it's a 43-inch monitor. I don't remember the size, but
Hmm.
it's very easy to do.
Oh man, now I'm gonna have to do that. Dang it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
have
easy, and you can link it. You can link it
I
with
have
you can
sitting
link
in the
it with
box
yeah.
a Samsung frame TV that you can turn 43 inch.
Yep.
And then from my wife's office, I have another Samsung 43-inch frame that I'm going to do on both sides. So yeah, that's the plan also for mine. But that's a great idea for that location, John Anthony.
Hmm. Yeah. So the other thing I want to mention too is I have been working on this theater for about 13 years now. So constantly changing and constantly moving things around. And that's what I like about it. That's what I like about a hobby. And that's one of the things I really like about my room is that I can change things myself. And I do about 80 to 85% of everything in the room by myself. So hardly do I ever have to hire someone to do it, unless it's something that I know would take me a good amount of time to, and I think it's not worth spending that much time when I can hire someone to do it in the day for me. Just like the painting, I hire someone to do all of the painting in one day, and I think it costs a total of the paint and everything $1,200. So I thought that was well worth it instead of me trying to paint over 2 to 3 weeks and it may not come out as well. So initially my theater room initially was all white and that was not very good. And then I painted into a dark velvet red. Uh, and and that was done over 10 years ago, and that was a big mistake too. I didn't really like it as much until recently, about 2.5 years ago, that I repainted the whole entire room completely. So let me walk you through it. The other thing I really like about this room too is that it's a step down, so you kind of feel like there is a theater feel to it. So I have 3 steps down into it, so it's actually kind of stepped down into right above the garage. So let me close the door here. So the new paint, it's more of a dark gray color, and it gives me a much better contrast. And of course, when you Asian into home theater, you have to have a Bruce Lee poster on your wall. That's a given, pretty much. So it's also a wet bar coming in. So I have a refrigerator in here, and that's the plus and minus to having a refrigerator in your theater room. Of course, there's you have to deal with the ambient sound that comes out of it. But a lot of time when I do my own tuning, I pretty much turn the refrigerator off so that it makes no sound at all. And so the wet bar area, I turned it more into just decoration because I don't usually use it at all. Uh, but of course, you have a full wet bar here, and this is to show my more of my movies collections, and also up there on my old Laserdisc. So that's how far back I went. I used to own 2 Laserdisc player, the Pioneers, in my home, and I wish I still kept at least one of them, but I didn't. It's they're all gone. So so my old Laserdisc is up there mainly for decoration now. And recently, I have gone into another hobby of collecting Transformers. So that's another way to spend good money really fast.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, man,
Old
is that
school
an original
Transformers,
Optimus
yes.
Prime over
Oh
there?
no, not these. Yeah, these Transformers are quite expensive. They're like 40 years old, pretty much. I do have a few knockoff that my sister bought for me for Christmas recently, but most of them are the original one. And then my love for vinyls. I still listen to vinyls. Um, and right here is the popcorn maker. So of course any
Oh yeah,
Nice.
I see you got that snappy butter over there too.
that is the secret sauce, the secret ingredient. And here's the other thing that I want to show you too, is this is also the secret how you make real theater popcorn.
Oh, that's the
Oh yeah,
same.
Great Northern.
That's the
I use
same one
that
I
too, but
have.
I
Yeah,
didn't know that you had to
great. No,
refrigerate this. What is going on with the
I
refrigeration portion?
You actually don't have to, but I just don't feel comfortable leaving it outside for a long period of time. So I just
Okay.
throw it in the fridge. Yeah, but it should be fine without refrigeration. And sometimes I make popcorn that doesn't have any butter in it, trying to be healthy lately. But this is also to get some hot butter in.
Yeah,
So got
that
everything
looks
set up.
awesome. I like that.
Yep. So
You
let me
got the
walk in.
Flavor Co
So
salt also to go with that?
yeah, the flavor co I brought it downstairs because I haven't used it lately, so I
Oh, okay.
brought it downstairs.
And
Yeah,
that's
but I
your
have a
Harry
whole bunch.
Potter hat on that popcorn.
Yep, that's my Harry Potter hat too. So the other thing too is,
Gryffindor.
like I said, I'm not only into the gears and the speakers and all of that. I'm really into the movies. So I do a lot of collections for the movies. So my room is technically set up as a 9.10.6. So I have 10
Did you just
subwoofers
say
in here.
10?
10. Yeah.
Oh, oh.
So it's all tower speakers, all Bowers and Wilkins. So the front stage is all 702s, and these are the signature series of the 702. And then up front, I have the Power Sounds Audio 18-inch dual sub. So there's a driver in the front, and then there's also a driver in the back. That active driver, not a passive driver. Both are active driver that radiate to the back wall to get and still my center speaker. It's I don't have anything in wall at all because my problem is I would love to have in wall speaker, but I just listen to too much music to be able to just deal with the in wall speaker. I like all standing tower speaker if I can. It would be great if I have room to put a tower speaker right in the middle right there, but I don't. And then there's a smaller Bowers and Wilkins subwoofer right underneath there. So we have one, two, and this is the signature for the 702 Bowers and Wilkins. And as Don was mentioning, the tweeter on top. So the tweeters sit on top, and I just love the wood veneer color. So if I was gonna get the 800 Diamond series, the top of the line 800 D3, then I would replace that with that. And ultimately, I want it to become a 11.10.6. So I do want 11 channel bass channel. And this is the other Power Sound Audio with the 18-inch subwoofer. And this is my Y. So when you listen
All right,
to music,
hold on.
yep, 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 yep,
That
yep.
speaker cable was very,
Man, look at how thick those speaker cables
very,
are.
very girthy there. What kind of speaker cable is that?
They are just your typical monoprice speaker cable, but
Oh wow.
I yeah, but I pretty much by wire everything. Sometimes by amp. So my front stage is by amp because I have enough amplifications to do so. So the whole entire front stage, I have 200 watts feeding in time two to each speaker.
Okay,
So
so
for the
you
front
got
stage, so
uh,
400 watts.
yeah, one portion is one amp, one channel is controlling the mids and highs, and the other channel's controlling the lows.
The lows, correct. So they are
Okay.
same with the center channel too.
Yes,
So
I am
that
admiring how girthy the cable is. As I said, we were
yeah.
courting each other before.
Yeah. So the main thing is I change speaker cable relatively often, and I move my speaker around a lot, so it's hard for me to hide them. I try to hide them as much as I can, but for the most part, once you turn the light down, you're not going to be able to see any wires at all. So, and this is my bass trap, and I'll go over the my two rack in a minute here. So this is the side my side channel. So the side channel is the Bowers and Wilkins 703. So they slowly step down. So the front stage are all 702 with four of the 702 in the front stage. The side channels 703 S2. And let me walk around. So now we get to the monolith subwoofers. So I have two monolith 15-inch subwoofers, and I seal them. I run them in seal mode. Got some of the bass trap back here too. And for my back channel, those are the Bowers and Wilkins 704. So they are the smallest of the tower speaker. And the reason I have to go with the smaller ones so that I can elevate them off the ground a little bit, because as you can see, if you leave them on the ground, then they're just going to be right at the level of the back of your seats, and it's going to be hard for you to hear anything. So I think Dolby recommend that they can be 1.5 times higher than your front stage. So that's
Right.
exactly how high I raise them up to at 1.5. But there's still a good separation between that and my Atmos. I don't know. It's kind of dark for you to see,
We
but the
can see it.
Atmos is
Looks
up
We
good.
can see
there.
it.
Yep.
I see it. Yeah.
Yep. So usually when I'm in here by myself, I lower the seats, the back of the seats down, so that there's less obstruction to the back speaker, and you can actually hear a little bit more clarity to it, because 80% of the time it's just me in the theater room watching movies by myself. But of course, mainly the theater is built so that my kids can enjoy it too. So let me walk over to the other side.
Now, what kind of treatments did you go with in there?
Yep. So GIK. So initially, this room had no treatment at all, and that's when Don and I we were brainstorming. There's certain things that we bounce idea off of each other, and since when you listen to a lot of music, you don't want the room to be too dead, because when the room is too dead, you kind of lose that liveliness of the sensation that you're sitting in a concert, or you're sitting in front of a stage of having live performers singing for you. That's my goal is I don't want it to be too dead. So I do put some rugs underneath, but underneath there it's mainly hardwood floor, and there's a extra pad underneath the rug to absorb some of the frequency of the sound also. But mainly just the rugs in the middle, and these are new rugs that I put in because previously the rugs was more of a grayish color, and I want a little bit more contrast for my TV. I mean for
Yeah.
my projector, so I went with a completely black rugs.
Yeah, Matthew
And
Pose just told everybody that you don't need, you can have hardwood floors. You don't need uh, carpeting. If your speaker dispersion is correct. So, to where it's not bouncing off the floor and off the ceiling.
yeah,
So, I don't know what the dispersion is of those Bowers, but I know that that little tweeter on the top, the dispersion pattern can't be that that big because there's no waveguide or anything around it.
No,
So
there isn't at all. It's relatively narrow. It's not as narrow as the electrostat from Martin Logan's, but it's the imaging is it's pretty good. And also, as you can see, all of my speakers they are sitting on hardwood. They're not on any rugs at all, and that's what I consciously decide to go with. And the main point is you mainly want to build the theater that works for you. I really don't think, all theater has to look exactly the same. It all has to be
agreed.
treated the same way. Yeah, you have to do it that works for you and works for your family because that's the whole point of us having theaters, that we can enjoy it and our kids can enjoy it too if we have, for those who have kids. And here's the big upgrade that I did in the past 2 years that really changed my theater is um, the four subs back here. So I have four subs sitting right behind my seats, near field subs. So the two in the middle, those are Power Sounds Audio, 18-inch, and it's each of them just have one driver. So one 18-inch driver, no driver to the back at all, and it fired directly to the back of the seat. And the main thing about near field sub is you want to be able to sit. If it's an 18-inch driver, you want to sit within that 18-inch of where your seat is. So,
So I
that's
noticed
that's
that
the
plug there. You have about 6 plugs plugged into
uh-huh.
that
Yep.
one outlet. Did you run
So
any certain electricity, any upgrades to the wiring or anything like that?
so initially I thought all of my my outlets here um 15 amps, but actually I had an electrician came by and check, and luckily my whole entire house are all 20 amp circuit. So I didn't have
Oh
to
wow.
upgrade anything at all. And this is actually the plug that was recommended by Youth Man on one of his video that kind of cut the humming out of the sub, because sometime I do hear once the sub when go into right when it turns on from a resting state, you hear a little bit of a hum and it go away within 10 15 seconds or so, but it was bothersome to me, so I was able to fix it with just this plug, and it was
Oh, very
amazing.
good.
So
Oh,
yeah, so
that's interesting.
go ahead, Ike.
I have those sitting. I use them in my office, but I didn't
Uh-huh.
even know I could use them for my subwoofers. But that's what I use because it has multiple outlets.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, so all of my subs are plugged into one of those so that it's cut off the humming. So as you can hear, if I stay very quiet, you don't hear any humming anywhere at all. And then on the side, because the main thing is the two main seats in the middle, I want them to get the best experience. So I get the 18-inch on there, and then the two on the outside. These are my older uh, SVS Ultra 13-inch. So they're 13 or 13 and a half inch on the two side. So it got four subs in the back, and so each seats get its own sub pretty much. And eventually, to upgrade, I would prefer to have all 18-inch to the back seat. So I would love to have four 18-inch subs, each sitting on each of the back seat. And it really
So
changed the experience in the theater with the Neofield sub. It's just amazing.
oh, and then you have additional corner subs also.
Yep. So I have additional subs. So on the other side, it is
It's
the
like Subway
the
over here. You just got them everywhere.
so these are the 15-inch monolith subs that I run them as seal subs, and then I got more of my movie collection stuff, some of my Blu-ray disc collections
Now, as
that
far
I
as
like to decorate.
uh, your trinkets and stuff that you have around,
Mm-hmm.
and I know you said you isolate your subwoofers. All of them are isolated. How?
Yep. So with the SVS isolation feet. So they're all sitting on, and they've been working great for me. So every single sub, I bought a pair of SVS isolation pocket feet, and they actually screw on easily without any problem at all. Even though they're not,
Okay, so
most of my
I
sub are
guess my
not SVS
question is,
subs.
you have that Lego on top of one of your subs. I
Uh-huh.
mean, no, so no vibrations or anything, with
Nope.
using those feet.
Nope. And that's I sure thought it would vibrate, but nothing move at all. It's just yeah, I don't know how that happens because I'm very sensitive to anything that vibrates in the room. I get irritated. So, and I'm sitting right next to it pretty much,
Right.
and not and there is zero vibration. As you know, these little Lego pieces when you have small kids,
Hmm.
they vibrate everywhere. And here's the truth to the pudding. I got Yoda sitting on one of my sub, and
Wow.
he hasn't moved an inch. and, and
That
he's
is a
made out of
classic.
Lego. If
So
it vibrates, the
when
whole Lego would fall apart pretty much.
yeah, so what volume are you listening at? Do you listen at reference? Do you listen at -10?
No,
What's your typical volume that you're watching the
my
movie at?
typical volume is -12. So everything I tune my own subs. I do all of my own calibrations. Usually when the kids is in the room, we listen at -15. And when I'm by myself, it's anywhere from -10 to -13. The only time that I listen to and I push it close to reference is only when I listen to channel music. That's pretty much it. But I have cut it off so that with my processor you can't even go past -5 because I just don't want to damage my ear. So
Yep,
Right. No,
I'm
understand.
right there with you, man. I locked mine to -15 when I was having my New Year's Eve party. Someone kept trying to turn it up, and
yep.
there was, some processing stuff. Anyways, it was. I like listening. But the one thing I will note, I'm glad you didn't have Don, tune all your subs. I was wondering who tuned all your subs. So.
He
so
he called he
so
called Joe for
I
the magic bean setup. No, no.
Oh my God.
I,
So it feels like you need to have a degree in rocket science to get all of these subs to play together because it's just a lot of subs to get them to not interfere with one another at all. And this one, the reason I put this one here because I had a node right at 50 hertz. And I don't know what causes that, right? Because of where my seat is, it's about two-third. You know how they always say you want it to be, two-third, you divide your room into three parts and your seat to be two-third back from the screen. And I do, that's what I have. But at my listening position, there is that no at 50 hertz initially. So I solved that problem by putting a monolith 15-inch seal sub right there in that corner, and it helped alleviate that no for me.
so we'll get to
So
your
it's all
rack in a
about
minute. So
placement.
how are you running 8 subs
10.
off of
10,
off
10
10,
sub.
10
10,
subs? Excuse
buddy.
me. How are you running 10 subs
Yep.
off of
So
off of
I
off of
use mini DSP.
I figured.
mini DSP? Okay, so
I
you're
use mini
splitting.
DSP.
So you
So
have what processor do you have?
I have the monolith HTP1.
Hence the reason why you're the owner and moderator of Monolith HT Enthusiasts on Facebook.
Correct.
So
I think my model behind my HTP1 is I think it's model 60. It's one of the earliest that once they came out. I knew that's what I wanted. I pretty much ordered and bought it right away. So I think on the back it's a model 60. So one
okay,
of the
so
earlier
that
one.
that processor is a 16-channel processor with one sub output, right?
What one sub
Or
output that
excuse
I
me,
run
15 channels with one sub one
correct.
subwoofer output.
Yep, you can run as 15 with one sub out, or you can run as 13 with three subs out.
Okay.
But I
And
only need
so
one because yep,
so you're running it currently as a 9.10.6, correct?
correct.
So how are you achieving the 10? Can you explain that to
Yes.
the audience?
Uh-huh. Yep. So up in the front, so I run each. I have two mini DSP that run off of that one sub out on the HTTP one. So two mini DSP. Each mini DSP has four output to it. So I have a total of eight output to it. So up in the front, my front stage, I have three subwoofer. Each one has its own dedicated line to the mini DSP. So I use three of it already, right? And
Okay.
then on the side, so on this one here on the side, that is going to be my fourth one. And then on the back two corner, that will be my 5 and 6. And then so my seventh is actually I daisy chain it. So I run all four of my near field sub because they are close enough to one another. I run them all connected to one another. So they're
Okay.
all connected to one output on the mini DSP. So
All right.
technically,
So
I can
you
add another sub somewhere in my room.
yeah, you have one channel left available.
You have one channel left available that I can add another one
Just
if
put
I
it on
want
the
to.
just put it on the ceiling above.
Just hook up four more in
Maybe
the
not
front for a
above.
foot massager.
No, just on the ceiling, but not above the main listening
Oh,
plate.
Yeah, you
so the
need
other
you, you
thing
need you need a base of God. That's the only thing
Yeah,
you're
not
missing is
voice
the
of God,
base of
base of
God.
God.
base of God. Yeah.
Base of God.
So Paul, interestingly, the reason that I chose so when back then when the HTTP one came out, I was really into Aura 3Ds because at that point I felt like Aura 3Ds. I really believe in it. I thought the quality of the sounds of Aura 3Ds was better than Dolby Atmos. The mix itself, I felt like was better than Dolby Atmos. So to choose to choose a processor, I want to make sure it runs Aura 3D. And the thing about the HTTP one is that it provides for you the voice of God. So since I have 6 speaker up in the ceiling, they use the two middle speaker and they stereo image it into the voice of God. And it's one of the few processors that are actually able to do that. So technically, I don't have to put a voice of God right above my head. I stereo image the two middle speaker to make it into the voice of God.
Yeah, and even Wilford was saying, the voice of God isn't the be all end all. But
Yeah.
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 Yeah, so that
So
particular process, what it does, processor, it takes a blend of the two middle, uh, I guess you want to call them middle channels of the in the in ceiling and blends them together to make one channel whenever you are running it in Oro, correct?
correct. So it make it into a stereo image into
Or-
one channel. Correct. When you run when you run Aura 3D, and you have to have a an Aura 3D native disk. It's just not an upmixing an Aura 3D disk for it to be able to do that.
Yeah, the 20 of them or so that are out
Yeah, which
that
I
we
think
can
I
do.
own all 20 of them pretty
Yeah,
much.
exactly. Yeah, no, I know I've ordered plenty of stuff from overseas and everywhere else that would allow me to uh, get the Oro 3D or just 3D in general. Like Black Widow, I ordered from Japan in 3D.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So um, so that I can actually have because they don't come out unfortunately in the U.S. a lot. So yeah,
So what digital media player
Well,
is
let's talk
that?
about the screen first before you
Yeah,
even
Yeah.
get to the digital player.
that's a cinescope, it looks like.
So it's a brand here in Texas. So when you live in Texas, try to support anything that's made in Texas as much as you can. So this is a screen innovation. It's an SI screen. and it's a 1.3 gain, white screen. And the reason that I chose a 1.3 gain back then because I forgot to mention about my pride and joy is the
Yeah,
projector.
we'll get to that. I was gonna follow up with that after the screen.
Yep. So 1.3 gain because back then I had the which projector did I have? I went through way too many projector.
I
One
think
of
you
the
had the
projector
Sony
that
295.
yep, the Sony 285 ES. So it only output it wasn't that much lumens, very low lumens output. So I wanted something that will pop off the screen. So I went with a 1.3 gain white screen, and it's 170 inch because it's pretty hard for that Sony to project an image this big and to still have enough lumens on it to make it pleasing to the eye. I didn't want it to be too dark.
Now,
So
with this JVC that you have now, you have a lot of
uh-huh.
light in here. What are you what have first of all, have you done the update to the JVC,
Not the
the new
latest one.
firmware?
Not the latest one.
Okay.
The last update I did was like 6 months ago, but not
So
not the because yeah. Go ahead.
the new one actually has a slider. This is what that's why I was asking you. I went back to that. The new one has a
Uh-huh.
slider as far as the laser brightness. So if you haven't upgraded to that, there's an eco, there's a
Uh-huh.
medium, and there's a high. What are you running the
Yep.
projector at currently?
Medium right now. Because
Medium
if you
right
run
now.
it on, yeah, if you run it on high, you can hear more fan noise, and
Okay.
really, there's no reason for me to run it at high at all.
Yeah, and you got a
Because
lot
I
of ambient light going in here, and that thing, is doing a really good job
Yeah, it
with
looks
all
good.
that light.
It looks great.
Yep, thank you. So that's the setup. We can go to yeah, and it's a 170 inch custom made because they came and they measure my wall and I want it exactly so that I don't have to change my left and right speaker because I want it to be stereo image because I listen to a lot of two channels. So I didn't want it the left and right speaker to be too wide apart. And so I wanted to make sure that it's not blocking my screen at all when I'm sitting right in front of it. And so that's why with the with the upgrade to the Y channel, it helps my room a lot too. So
This
I do
this is
believe
a
Y
s-
channel I do believe Y channel is not necessary for every single room, but as
mhm.
wide my room is, it helped with the sound stage when you listen to music quite a bit.
I do want to comment on one thing. This is a scenario, absolutely, because I am 16 by 9 all day, every day, because you just get a bigger screen. But
Yep.
literally in this scenario right here, I would tell you to go Cinescope because you are getting so much more width than if you put a 16 by 9 in here. The height would you would lose several feet. So it's all scenario based. But in this scenario, that I would totally 100% be Cinescope all day. And I also wanted to ask, it looks like you had an anamorphic lens on your
Co
projector as well, didn't
correct. So that was, the journey that Don helped me through a
you?
couple years
You
ago.
see,
So
I got my head down because
so
Oh man.
oh my God. So Paul, you hit it on the head. Guess what screen I had back then before I met Don? I had a 16 by 9 screen. So this is the second screen in my room. So before that, it was 16 by 9 daylight screen. It wasn't expensive. Spent like $600 on it. It worked for me for 8 years without any problem at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the upgrade, I'm like, well, what's the point of upgrading just to 16 by 9 again? And what was bothering me was the black bars. because I watch a lot of movies. Not only do I watch
Yeah.
TV show, but when you watch a movie, that black bar is bothersome. And to me, even if you mask it or whatnot, it did not feel right for me, for my eyes at all. So I
Uh-huh.
had to go with Cinescope screen, and this is a 2.4, 2.0 Cinescope screen. So when you do the Cinescope screen, you run into other issues because you don't have a projector that natively project 2.40. So you have to so most people what they have to do is they have to compromise and zoom in. So you do lens shift and you zoom in when you're watching a movie, and then you zoom out when you're watching a TV show, pretty much. So I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to have to be zooming in, zooming out, or mess with the masking, because I know myself, I'm lazy. I just want to sit down. When I watch something, I want everything to be automatic. Even the idea of thinking of doing a motorized screen, which is very expensive, but even to do a motorized screen, I don't want to sit there for 30 seconds to wait for the screen to motorize. That's my problem. So to solve that problem, um, initially I bought the Lumagen. Thanks to Don's recommendation, I didn't even know Lumagen existed before I met Don. I didn't know what it
Yeah.
what
Thanks,
it
thanks
So,
to
is. I'm
so
like,
Don. Yeah. Here,
I've introduced Lumagen
spin
to a
this,
couple people, and
spin this
I'm
one
gonna I'm
carrot.
going to blame this on another counterpart that he may not know, but I've spoken to him. But his name is Taurus, and he has a fantastic show called the Fun Waste of Time podcast. So if you guys have not, he's going to come on the show when he gets time. I've spoken to him this past couple weeks, maybe a week ago. Made sure he had a great holiday, but he's going to come on the show when things slow down a little bit for him. But I listened to his podcast, and I listened to him talk about the best piece of equipment in his rack. And by far, he said it was the Lumagen Radiance Pro processor. And I was like, what the heck is a Radiance Pro processor? This was several years ago. And Chris Deering, so I listened to that. And then the next week, he had Chris Deering on his show. And they talked about the Lumagen Radiance Pro processor. And I said, okay, I have to figure out what this is. So I'm done taking all the blame for people jumping down the rabbit hole. So I'm placing all the blame on you, Taurus. So
So I
no,
want to give Torres a shout out too. So Torres actually lives in my town. He lives about 20 minutes from my office out in Schutz. And I have to give him credit for a lot of things because I bounce off ideas for him too. And I want to give him the credit for my seat. This was his recommendation, and I love it. I used to have regular leather theater seats in my home, and over the years, guess what happened to the leather? And when you have kids, they spill drinks on it, it get wet, it
Hmm.
get moist, it start peeling off, and it become disgusting. The leather itself peels, slowly peeling off, and it get on your clothes. And I didn't really like the feel of the leather at all, so I went with and Torres in his home theater he has pretty much the same type of fabric too, and it's the same company that is a local company here in Texas and in San Antonio. So it is velvet, not velvet. It's dark black color, but it's fabric, and it's very very comfortable.
is that like a
And I
microfiber?
all microfiber, and the middle seats that I'm lazy enough that I don't even want to put my leg rest up. So I went with that with a chase style seat. So actually myself and two of my kids actually can fit in the middle two chase area. We don't even have to sit on the outside at all.
Those look nice.
Uh,
I do like them a lot.
yeah. So like back to my point is you have to build the theater that works for you, and I found that this works better for me than leather seatings, and it's very comfortable. I just wish that the headrest is not so high because it
Yeah.
does obstruct a little bit. But as you can see, my tweeter on my back channel is still higher than the back of the seat.
Right.
So it's still
Now,
okay,
do you
but
have those
that's
wedged downward a little bit, or do you have them just flat on those stands?
flat on the stand. No, I didn't have them wedged down, and it was hard for me to find a stand that actually fit them. So and the other main concern I have is, in loud scene or vibration or whatnot, I'm just afraid it'll tip over. So I pretty much nailed down my speaker all around it. So there's no way
Okay.
for them to move. So yeah, that was one of my concern because it's sitting right next to the subwoofer too. I didn't want it to move or to tip over and fall and break.
Okay.
So yeah, so I just want to give a shout out to Taurus for helping me with the seats. I couldn't be happier with these seats. And then we go to the projector. So that's the same projector that Don has, and we bought it pretty much the same time, almost the same time. And we did an opening on an opening on the podcast, right? On one
Yeah,
of
we did a
our
live
podcasts,
stream of the
live
unboxing
stream
for this. Yep.
unboxing. So and then it has the anamorphic lens right in front of it. So back to the story. So after I got the Lumigen, so the nice thing about the Lumigen is that it will change the aspect ratio for you, and I can actually do a demonstration for you if you want, because the one movie, if you put on any Christopher Nolan movie, they change aspect ratio all the time,
Well, we'll
and
get a
it's
copyright,
annoying
so
as anything.
don't put it
Yeah,
on.
don't play.
Don't
We're
put
gonna
a
get a copyright
okay.
strike.
Yeah, we'll get a copyright
Okay,
on
never
that.
mind. So yeah, so it changed the aspect ratio for you instantaneously without you even realize that the aspect ratio has been changed already. So after I get the Lumigen, which everything changed the aspect ratio, and you set it as a linear, so it's called a constant height. So your height of your screen stay constant, and the Lumigen just process it and fit everything into that height. That's why you never have to change anything at all. But the problem with that is without the anamorphic lens, you lose light output. And before I had the JVC, I was struggling with my light output already. So you lose light output because you have to still zoom in for it to happen. And also back then I did have completely black ceilings, so I can sometime on bright scenes I can see a little bit of an overshoot of the gray area, the gray ball on top and
Right.
bottom of my screen, and that drove me nuts. Like I think I talked to Don for like 2 weeks straight. We demo a bunch of movies, and I'm like, okay, I've had it. I need to get a anamorphic lens to fix the problem. I just couldn't deal with it anymore.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah,
the
and
process.
like you said, you set the projector in the anamorphic mode, and the lens actually reshapes the picture for you. And as you mentioned before, that not the projectors are more or less what I think it's like a 17 by 9 or something like that is what they come in. It's not like a
Uh-huh.
16 by 9. So yeah, so there is some scaling that has to be done to fit these anamorphic screens, you know.
Yep.
So and same thing with 235. I actually bought a 235 screen, and I spoke, to someone, and they told me, look, you're going to need to be able to fit this, you're going to need to get a lens, um, or a Lumigen to be able to scale it properly and hide, basically do some digital masking with the Lumigen. So there's a lot of stuff that the Lumigen video processor, same thing with the Mad VR can do. I'm interested to get a Mad VR in house once the theater is set up, and actually do. I think we spoke about this. Actually, do like a side by side comparison to see what you know. See if the Mad VR is worth the extra squeeze for the for the extra money that they're charging versus the Lumigen. What model Lumigen do you have
The one that I
Keystone.
have in the theater room right now is the Lumigen Radiant Pro 444. So
Okay.
that's a yep. So it's a previous version than from the latest and greatest. And from my reading is the latest and greatest you get a little bit upgrade in audio quality, but the image is pretty much about the same. So that's why there's no real reason for me to upgrade to the I think the 5 series 5.2, 5.6 or something like that. And the
Right.
other thing
Right.
too I want to mention with the anamorphic lens is people worry about the barrel effect. If you look at the screen, the Lumigen fix a lot of that. You don't really see it. Because you can change the image. The barrel effect of because the anamorphic lens is kind of curved, so you see on the edge of the screen there can be a little bit of barrel effect. It's like looking through a fish bowl pretty much, but you really don't see it. And that's the main point about the Mad VR is they say they can digitally fix all of that completely, and the Lumigence doesn't do it to that extent, but it fixes it pretty well. There's if you're looking at the screen, it looks pretty flat to me. You don't see
Yeah.
any tilt or any barrel effect at all.
Yeah. I don't see any keystoning or anything like that on
Keystone,
the
yeah,
edges. Um, or like you said, or like the barrel roll effect.
yeah.
Um, so let's go ahead and take a look at what's inside the rack. Let's see
Yeah,
where the brains are.
absolutely. Just one last thing. So
Sure.
the hardest part to the projector is mounting it. So all of my previous projector, I mounted myself, and I mounted to the back wall to hold it. The problem with the JVC is that it's way too heavy to be mounting it to the back wall. It's just not enough support, and it can break, and it can, and last thing I wanted to do is drop my projector straight to the ground, and it'll be a piece of glass pretty much. So I actually had to hire a professional to mount it for me, and that's a really hard mount because the back of my ceiling is a little slanted, but it's mount, and some people ask why I mount the projector kind of low. I want it to be directly straight at the screen so that I don't have to do any keystone up and down at all. I don't have to move the image up and down. It's shoot the image directly, and I didn't move anything. It's directly at the screen like that. So you know how people recommend you mount the projector about I mean 1/3 of the way from the top of the screen. Mine is
Right.
right dead center to the screen,
So when you stand
and
up and
that's what
walk
I
in
do.
front of it, does it block the picture?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Even as short as I am, it still blocked the picture, but it doesn't bother me. It's just me in the room. When I stand up, I'm
Right.
not looking at the screen, so it doesn't really matter.
Now I noticed
So
something in the back corner back there. You got some angled speakers. What are those hooked up? Are they functionable?
oh no, these are the GIK acoustic panel. And,
What's in the far
it's a,
corner on the?
oh,
Yeah, those right there.
these are my old speaker that I used to use them as my height speaker, but I haven't unhooked them because they are mounted already. Eventually, if I want to, I can expand it to doing height and doing switching back and forth between having height speakers and having Atmos speaker. But
Okay.
I haven't gotten around. So I still leave the mount and everything on there, so it make it easier for me later on to switch it if I want to switch to height speaker. But the main thing is I would need a better processor, a more channel count processor to be able to do
Right.
so. And then the Atmos speakers that I have up there, those are all Bowers and Wilkins 700 series. So they match the tweeter, and they match the mid range and the bass driver of my tower speaker
No, they
exactly.
look like they have an
So
angled baffle. Also,
and
is
correct. So they actually angled the tweeter. So all of these are the other thing that I pay someone to do because I did not want to mess with it at all, drilling into my ceiling and all of that. So this was professionally installed, and they used the laser to make sure the tweeter are aiming directly at the listening position. So it is
right.
angled at 30 degree to the listening position, and I think that's really important. that most people forget is that they put up Atmos speaker in those ceiling, and it's just shooting straight down. And if you see, if it's shooting straight down, it would just be going straight down to the floor, not to any of the seats at all. So all of these are mounted in a way that they are angled to the main listening position. So that's
Okay,
the
so
other
the
thing I want to
center the
point out.
center Atmos speakers, do they a lot of times people set them up to where, let's say, the left one will be angled at the right armrest and then the right one will be angled right at the left armrest. Is that how you have them set up, or
Uh-huh.
are they just aimed right towards the middle?
No, it's aim a little bit like you said, not directly to the middle seat, but a little bit to the side. Because the main thing is my main listening position, my main seats, I want it to be the two seats in the middle because that's pretty much my whole family fit in it. So that's where they aiming towards that vicinity, that direction. So it's like having a really big giant seat instead of two seats. So that's
I
where
see.
they aiming directly
And before we
to.
get to the
And
rack, what is that red Game Boy that you got sitting there?
What's
What-
red
the
Game Boy?
red controller on your seat that looks like a Game
Oh
Boy.
yeah. Sorry here. So everything in this room is controlled by Control 4. And my opinion, once you go to Control 4 or Savant or one of those high level controlling system, there's absolutely no way of turning back. I understand they are very, very expensive and they are not for everyone, but once you get used to it, there is no way of turning back at all.
Can
And
you
and
give us a
everything
little
is being controlled.
demonstration of that? What
Yeah.
which remote is that?
So this is the
Don't
Neo remote.
don't
The
don't play
Neo.
any don't play any.
No,
No, no,
it
I'm
won't
not. I'm
play
not.
anything from there.
Okay.
It'll
It
just
won't play anything at all. So here's the cool thing. So you see, you have the Kaleidoscape. You can actually go straight to the browser of the Kaleidoscape on the remote. It may take a minute for it to load up, but you can select. Oh, maybe not. No, sometime it messes. Or you can. There you go. So now it has all of my movies on my remote. Let me hold it differently so you can see it.
there we go. Yeah.
Can you see it now? And you can scroll through the movies and select the movie directly from your remote. So you don't even have to look up on the screen to do so. And you can browse your movie directly from Control 4. But you need a special driver for that. It's one of those Chow Mein driver for the Kaleidoscape on the Control 4.
Okay.
So yeah. So that's the cool thing. Same with Rune. So I use Rune for music. It's the same thing too. So with Rune, you can control it. It pops up the artwork of the music and the album and everything, and you can select directly from the artist, and it has nice images that you can select and play directly from your remote control. So it's a very nice, cool feature of the Control 4.
Now, do you have a integrator for that, or do you do the programming yourself?
No, I do have an integrator to do all of that. But that's the drawback to Control 4. And my biggest fear is if I do something and I screw it up, then I have to call an integrator to change all the setting, everything. So once it's set and done, you're done. You don't have to do anything. But each time you add a new product to your system, you have to add it with an integrator. You cannot do it yourself. So that is the downfall of Control 4. And
Yeah.
for me, I love to DIY everything. That's the only thing that I don't DIY because I just don't have the knowledge to do it or the control to do it, pretty much.
Right. Right. Well,
Yeah.
let's take a look at what you got behind the doors over there. What you're hiding.
Yeah. So I got two of the 42 unit racked. So let me open them. So let me walk through. Can you guys see me
Yeah, we
okay?
can see. Yep.
Yep, we see
Okay.
it clear.
Just let me know if I need to move the camera back or whatnot. So
So we can
this one
see
is
down to the let's see, we can see down to the red turntable.
The red. Okay, and then after that, I'll move the camera down. So let me go from top down. These are all of my AV equipments, and over here, these are all of my amplifier and processor. So up here, I got the Rune core. So all of my music is running through Rune right now in the system, and the Rune core has two HDMI out, so it feed the music digitally directly into the HTTP1 processor. So it pretty much easy connections, and I access all of my music through the Rune core pretty much. This is your typical Panamax power conditioner. That's pretty much everyone has. In the middle right here, I have my Apple TV that sits right on top, and some of my routers that you may not be able to see. This is the fan, the AC Infinity fan that help cool the system, and pretty much it never turns on because the system runs pretty cool on its own. And the nice thing about my room is that on the back, the wall actually push in and it's lean against the window, so there's good ventilations that I don't have to worry about overheating any of my equipment at all. So
Okay.
it's not in the closet. So hardly the fan. I've been playing for the past hour everything, and the fan never turned on at all. And this is like Don said, this is my pride and joy, which is the Lumagen in my rack, the Lumagen Radiant Pro 444. That's the video processor, and then I have two Kaleidoscape in here. This is the Strato S 6 TB, and then this is the Kaleidoscape Alto 4 TB on this. So some people don't know. Well, before they have the disc to digital, you have to insert your Blu-ray disc into the Alto, and then it recognizes that you own the disc and you can buy the movie at a discount rate of a disc to digital online through the Kaleidoscape store.
Right.
And Don mentioned last time on the podcast is that now you don't need that anymore. You just plug in a drive and it does that for you. But since I have the Kaleidoscape for a while now, this was the only way for me to do so, and I was able to actually save a lot of money because I cataloged over 2,000 Blu-ray discs on my system already. So once you catalog it, it gives you the discount rate, but you don't have to buy it right away. You can just save and buy it slowly over time. If there's a movie on your catalog that you want to watch, and you can see on my screen a lot of the movie that say Blu-ray on it, it's a catalog movie that either I haven't downloaded or I haven't bought it yet. But if I go through and I say, hey, that's a movie I want to watch today, I'm going to buy it, I can just buy from my catalog at a much. So the Alto was really good for that. The other thing too about the Alto is that it has 4 TB of hard drive on it. So it cannot store 4K movies, but it can store DVDs and Blu-ray movies that you buy from the store. So you get an extra 4 TB of storage. And as you know, Kaleidoscape, the main thing is you pay premium for the storage space. So it's very, very expensive. And I was able to buy the Alto on a second hand that was not expensive, and to be able to have 4 TB of hard drive to store my Blu-ray movies, that was an easy decision to make. And the other thing I want to echo what Don said on one of the previous podcasts is many people think Kaleidoscape is out of the reach because it is so expensive. Yes, it is very expensive if you buy new. And I really think Kaleidoscape, I did like the fact that now they split it in two, where you have to buy the hard drive, the server separately, and then you have to buy the Strato C to play it.
Right.
It makes the package deal much more expensive than it used to be. Because in the past, you used to just be able to buy the player, which is around $5,000 to $6,000, but then that's it. You have everything already. Now your entry point goes up to $7,000 to $8,000, and you pretty much get the same experience. Granted, you download at a much faster rate, but most of the time I don't really care. I can download the movie on my phone. So when I'm at work, when I'm driving, I'm just like, well, this is the movie I want to watch tonight. I'm just going to download it ahead of time. And I have plenty
Right.
of storage that I really don't need to be able to download it in 10 minutes or whatnot. So
And
yes,
you just
it's
talked
very
about secondhand too. You know, one thing that I'm not going to take credit for is pushing you. Well, we spoke about the Kaleidoscape, but John Anthony actually contacted me one day, and he's like, "Hey, this guy is selling 2 Kaleidoscapes. Let's try to get them." And and he had two six terabyte Strato S's, and we reached out to the guy, and he gave us an unbelievable deal to be able to get into
Mhm.
those. So it was like less than half of the price of one that I could have gotten, right? So
Yep.
it was it was almost a no brainer for both of us. We're like, okay, we'll buy both of them from you at this price, and you won't have to worry about selling them individually. You're going to ship one
Yep.
here, and you're going to ship one there. And luckily, I had already been talking to Brett Berquist, who used
Mhm.
to work for Kaleidoscape, and I reached out to him, and he said, "Hey, I know this guy. I'm replacing his Kaleidoscapes with the new Strato C and the new server. So I'll check these out for you." They ran the serial numbers, told me there was nothing, no errors on the hard drive, none of this stuff like that, and boom. Next thing I know, I'm wiring my $3,000, and Gene is wiring his.
Yep.
So
Easy decision. The other thing too is, guess what happened 6 months later? I contacted the guy again, and he said he has an Alto line around and he doesn't need to use it anymore because now he has a big 20 terabyte server that he can store all of his movie on it. I'm like, guess what? I'll take your Alto for you. You don't have to worry about it. So
right, yeah.
so
So
yeah,
yeah,
the used market. Yep. So I just want to also mention not all of my equipments are brand new because in this hobby you can spend endless amount of money. Well, number one, you can spend endless amount of money and get the same experience. Or number two is that you can always sit back and say, okay, these equipments are out of my reach. I will never buy them. I will never experience them because they are way too expensive. That is not true. You can, as long as you are diligent and go around and looking for deals and know what to look for and what to check for. Of course, you don't want to buy random thing off of Facebook Market and bring it home and nothing works at all and it's just a piece of junk. You want to make sure you get reliable products. Then you have to do your homework. So a lot of my equipments that you see in my room, even some of my speaker, they were secondhand. And as I can tell you, my the Lumagen I bought that was secondhand also, so I did not have to pay full price for it. The Alto was secondhand. The Kaleidoscape Strato C was second. The Strato S was secondhand, and then come to my next products, which with the help of Don, I was able to get a very nice Zapiti that I haven't had any problem with, and I installed a new program already. I was actually gonna turn on the new program so you guys can see with the Revolution applications. I was able to install it and get it to function and work normally. It took me about 2 weeks to get it to work correctly because the layout, the format of it is different than the old Zapiti. So a lot of people are struggling with it because they just don't know how to set it up correctly because you have to change certain things on your Synology folders and all of that to for the player to recognize. I don't know if the new Revolution player will automatically does that for you easily, but when you are trying to sidestep and install a program that was not designed for Zapiti and you try to run it on Zapiti, of course you have to play around. You have to play around to get it to work correctly. And it comes with a 2 internal bay, which I don't even use it since I have a NAS a 2 NAS system to run it. And in my opinion, sometimes I love the Zapiti just as much or even more than the Kaleidoscape. And the problem with that is I have a large movie collection. Large 3D movies collection, and also large TV show collection. The Kaleidoscape is limited by how much hard drive you have. This one is limited by how much money you have. You can, as long as you have enough money to buy hard drive, you can make your collection as big as you want to. And so when you have that combination, you never feel like I have to wait to download something to watch a movie, because if it's not on my Kaleidoscape, I can watch it on the Zapiti easily without any problem at all. So I have a very large movie collection on the Zapiti, and I never regret buying it. And with the help of Don, I was able to get a good price on it. So it works out very well for me. And then down here is my Panasonic UP9000, which is typical that everyone has. And pretty much I don't watch any discs on this anymore because of the having the Kaleidoscape and the Zapiti. So this is more for me to listen to my CDs collection. So so I have it connected directly to the HTTP1. I put in my CD disc, and I can listen to 2-channel music CD. And this is one of the player that actually has a native drive with Control 4, so I can control it with Control 4 without any problem. So that got integrated to my Control 4. And I'm gonna move the camera down so you guys can see.
That looks beautiful, man.
Thank you. So, all right. All right, so this is my turntable project, the project RMP 1. So it's my turntable that I have it connected to the HTTP1, and I play my vinyl on here. And the nice thing about this rack is I bought this so that I can slide it in and out. So it's really simple to do. And then underneath here, I hide my PlayStation 5, the remote controller for it, and then also my router and my everything is connected directly to the to Ethernet underneath there. And then I have a little, so this is my PlayStation 5, and I changed the outside of the PlayStation so that it's all black, because it was driving me nuts that everything here is mostly black and then the PlayStation standing out completely bright white.
Yeah, that's
so I didn't
one
like
thing
it.
that I'm going to blame you for too. You making me buy one of those PlayStation 5s. He told me, "Yeah, we'll play golf together." So
Yeah.
we played golf one time. So
I'll
one
send you.
time
I'll
in
send
3
you.
years.
I'll send you a friend request so that we can play golf or something.
Oh yes, absolutely. And then I have a little drawer that I install so that I put all of my remotes in here so that it doesn't get lost. And then this is another Panamax conditioner, and this is something that I recently able to purchase on eBay. So this is one of the old school Sony 5-disc changer that I used to have in high school, and I was able to find it again. So I'm like, oh, I found it on eBay. It's the exact one that I had back in the day. And
Very
so I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna buy it. And I put in a 5-disc changer, and it played randomly. Just when I feel like I don't want to mess with Rune or whatnot. And then the nice thing too is that I put this is a little sensor that it actually can be controlled and mapped it out and control with Control 4. So you don't need to have Control 4 is pretty flexible, and that's the reason I chose Control 4 over Savant, because Control 4 is more open source. So in my understanding is Control 4 is more like an Android where so people can write programs and add things to it. Savant is more of a closed system like an Apple pretty much. So it's much harder to add products to it. So that's why I went with the Control 4, and it was all of the control on my 5-disc changer was mapped out to Control 4, and I can control it with my Control 4 remote without messing with the remote control for the Sony. And of course, this is over 18 years old, so they don't have the remote anymore. So the previous owner lost the remote a long time ago. So
So quickly, what is that?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What is that that you have the RPM1 on? Is that a stand or is that part of the turntable? The white or gray looking.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. So this one, I wish I can turn it on to you. So this is a mod that I bought on eBay. So it has LED light in the back. It is a big piece of glass that's really thick and really heavy. And then
Okay.
you turn the LED light on, it changes the color, and you can change it to any color you want. And it's pretty much a bright light, so that when you play your LP, you kind of have an ambient light to it that makes it look like you at the club or whatnot. So
Okay, that makes sense.
yeah, so it's just a piece that I bought a long time ago. All right, and then let me move the camera back up again, and I'll open the
So
other one.
when you're actually watching a movie or listening to music, do you open those cabinets up? Are they ventilated? How does that work?
No, they keep closed the whole entire time. They are ventilated in the back. So even on the side of my rack, it is covered. So it is completely covered on the side. The only thing that's open is to the back, pretty much. And as you can see, you can look at the temperature. Right now it's at, and I have this whole system running for the past 3 hours, and you can see it's at 88, 89, 90, 89, 84. So all of my equipments are running extremely cool without worrying about it overheating at all. So let me
Ooh, look at
move.
those blue lights, baby.
Look at those
Blue
blue
light.
meters. We gotta love those blue meters.
So let's go from the top. So top. So this
I
rack
don't
is mainly
know.
for
Is it
all of my.
sacrilegious to put Marantz in a cabinet and not like on display? That's what I'm thinking right now.
You
I'm
mean
like,
a
I
you
don't
mean
know,
a Mac?
man.
You
Yeah,
mean a
yeah, the
Macintosh?
Macintosh. Yeah, it's like I don't know, man. You might be breaking some
So
rules here
Don't
about
don't
putting
don't
it
give
in
him
a
you.
don't give him any
cabinet.
bad ideas, man.
No, no, no. No, because actually, no, I completely agree with you. And you can ask Don. For the longest time, for over 10 years, I have all of my Macintosh out in the open. But the problem with
Mm,
it is when you watch a movie, you can still
mm,
see some ambient light. So I'm like, oh, I wanted everything completely pitch black in here. That's when I changed and got the two racks. I actually got these two racks like a year and a half ago. It hasn't been that long, because before then everything is out open in the on the display pretty much. Um, so going from on top, so I have a Cyber Power, the battery. The main thing is I needed a battery system, because with the HTP1, and when you live in Texas, you get rainstorm quite often during rainy season, and sometimes the power will go out. So the problem with the HTP1, and they say they fixed it, but I don't think it's that reliable, is if you have it running and the power goes out, it goes into a brick mode that you have to know what how to factory reset everything. So there's a little micro USB in the back, that SD card that you put in to factory reset it. But the problem is, once you factory reset it, all of your setting is gone. So it became a pain in the butt when you have to reset this every 3 to 6 months. So I plug it directly to the battery pack, so that it doesn't go off at all.
Did you
And
just
then
say
I
every
have
three to
the.
6 months? Because out here it's like every other week. The light goes off.
The light
I don't
goes
know.
off.
I don't know what part of Texas you're in, but it sounds like
Yeah.
you have a
Not
good
too
deal.
bad, right? So I shouldn't be complaining. Yeah, it's not close to Houston, so it's San Antonio, so we don't have that
Yeah.
many storms. But yeah, when you live in Houston, you get flood all the time, pretty much. And then I have the AC Infinity. So every important equipment I have an AC Infinity sit on top of it. So number one is that it keep it cool, and number two is that it's also act as a cover for dust, pretty much. So it sits on top of it. So usually no dust go into any of my equipment. So I kind of like that. So I have it sit on top of the HTTP one. And the HTV1 has been completely mapped out with the Control 4, so I can control everything on the HTV1 with the Control 4 without having to stand up and mess with it at all. And then the HTV1 control everything else. It control all of the amplifier. So I have two of the Macintosh 7106. So each of these are 6 channel amplifier, but I bridge them. So I run 3 channel each. So each channel is actually outputting 300 watts of power. And so you have 3 and 3. So 6 of these are running my Atmos speaker. So the Atmos is getting fed 300 watts of amplification. So that's plenty.
There's plenty for Atmos.
There's plenty of power, and then each of the amplifier I have a AC Infinity fan sitting on top of it. This is another Panamax power conditioner, and then the bottom one is to run all of my other. Oh, okay, sorry.
He likes his rainfall sound effects.
I know,
Yeah.
Hey, if
I want to make sure when it rains, it rains.
Yeah.
If you just want to lay on the floor and look up, you can use that as 2-channel.
Yeah, I guess 2-channel.
I can imagine watching Black Hawk Down on that, man.
On that.
Right.
So
Those are your Atmos speakers are 8-inch woofers too, right?
That's
Yeah,
why
they are
you need,
8-inch
that's why
woofer.
you need
Yeah,
the
that's-
base. You need the base of God, so you can match
Yeah.
all that Atmos power you got going on.
So interestingly, here's something that some people don't know is, of course, the HTV1 is running direct, right? So with direct, if you have amplification that is not uniform all around, it try to set it to your weakest link. So it set it to that the one with the least amount of watts will dictate how loud the other one can play. So it's kind of, I used to only run 150 watts. I'm actually 100 watts to the Atmos channel, but then it's trying to match all of that with the bed layers also. And so when you're doing that, you feel like you are missing out on some of the dynamic range. That's why I had to go and get another exactly the same Macintosh so I can bridge them and have the same amplification up in the Atmos compared to the one on the bed layer. So that is something that Dirac is doing, and I
That's
haven't
something
figured
that
out
I
a way
didn't
to.
know, so thank you for sharing that.
And so I mess with it. So I've ran Dirac over 100 times since I got the HTV1. So I messed with it so many times, and I couldn't get it to act the way I wanted to. So I'm like, okay, forget it. I'm just gonna get more amplification. So down here, I get the two big boys, the Macintosh MC207. So each one has seven channel amplification. So you have a total of 14 channel amplification right here. So with the 14 channel, each channel is outputting 200 watts. So since I have extra channel, I'm putting the LCR as 400 watts. So I bi-amp each of them. So each of them getting fed 400 watts of amplifications, and everything else getting fed 200 watts of amplifications. So that's pretty much it.
So,
Man.
as far as the Macintosh, and I know you, I obviously we talk a lot, so I know the backstory. But or as far as the Macintosh amps, did you pick any of these up secondhand? Did you purchase all these ones new? Because and talk about some of your subwoofers also in that aspect. Did you pick those
Yep.
up secondhand?
So as you know, that's the same. I think the same theme that goes throughout my whole entire theater room. If I wait to have enough money to buy all of these equipment, I will be waiting until I'm 80 years old, pretty much, because everyone knows Macintosh amplifiers are extremely expensive, extremely expensive. So and I did a lot of research, and I was fortunate enough to be able to pick these up secondhand. So the first set of the Macintosh, the MC207, I bought that in Houston. They actually have one that's when they changed from the MC207 to the latest version is I think it's the 257. So when they switch it out, they have one in their dedicated theater room that they have sitting there. And I asked them, so how much usage do you have? And they said it's been sitting there for 2 years. And we in the morning we come in, we turn it on, and then we turn it off when we leave, and half the time nothing is playing on it at all because they only play a movie demo clip when someone come in to see it. So it's actually was a Best Buy up in the Woodlands. So I call them and I say, hey, how much are you willing to part way with this? And I was able to negotiate it down to a pretty good price compared to the original MSRP. And then I drove to Houston to pick it up. So a lot of these equipments require some driving. And the lucky thing is when you live in Texas, there's a lot of big cities around that you can actually, it's within driving distance that you can pick these up. So I bought that from Best Buy, but it was pretty much a demo model that I was able to pick up. The one down below, I bought it secondhand also, and that came from eBay. And the main thing about these Macintosh, if you buy any of these secondhand on eBay, you have to make sure they have the original box. Because the problem with the shipping or with transporting these Macintosh amp, they are over 100 pounds and they can get damaged and the glass can break easily because you see in front, they're all glass, pretty much. It's all glass. So easily the glass can crack and break if they're not transported correctly. So with the original boxes, they have a big plank of wood that screw into the amp itself so that the amp cannot move back and forth in the box, and it gives the support so that it doesn't break when you transport them. So I bought the other amps, one on eBay, one on secondhand, the other one on eBay, and actually one of the one that I bought on eBay, the Macintosh, the MC 7106, I bought it last Christmas because that was my wife's Christmas gift for me. So I bought it on eBay and it came in completely shattered. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I talked to Don about it. Took some picture. It was shattered because and Don was like, "What the hell? Like, how does this guy not know how to pack a box correctly? The box looked like someone just kicked it a million times, pretty much."
Yeah,
And
it looked like the thing had been just beaten to death from the amplifier from the inside out. It was crazy how this person packed an expensive amplifier like this.
It was it was completely destroyed. And it was sad because he had that amp for many years that he didn't really want to part with it. But the nice thing about eBay is that they will refund your money if you fire everything correctly. So I fired it, they refund my money, and I was able to find the exact amp about 2 weeks later that has the original box, the original plank wood, and it came in double box because all of the Macintosh amplifiers, they come double box as the original box. Double box and not a scratch on it at all. So it was night and day. So sometimes you do take risks, but for me, taking risks on eBay is much less risky because if there's a problem, eBay will return your money for you without having to put up much of a fight at all.
And did you had to send that unit back to him? How did that work?
Yeah, I sent it back to him, and he was very nice about it. He was like, "I can't believe this happened," and he tried to file it with FedEx, but FedEx like, "Oh, that's too bad for you." So I don't think he ever got his money back from FedEx. So that's something. Yeah.
That's a bummer.
So that's a bummer. And then the two.
Yeah,
So the
that
two.
is one hell of a sexy rack. It really is. The only thing I
Thank
gotta
you.
say is with those Macintosh, I think you need to cover all those screw holes with some wood surround around there, man. You gotta put a little cherry on top if you're leaving it in those racks.
Yeah.
So when you
So
open it up,
So the two power sounds subwoofer that I have up in front, the dual driver, those I also found it on online also, and it's by this really nice guy who live in College Station, which is about 3.5 hours away from me, and I was able to drive there, pick it up. I did an unboxing when I got it home. It's on my YouTube channel. That was like 3.5 years ago. So I got lucky on those because I got great price on it. The thing about subwoofers, once you buy the subwoofers, it's really hard to sell it to anyone else because they are so damn heavy. No one wants to ship those. No one wants
Yeah,
to pick it up
shipping
from you.
alone. Yeah, it
Yep.
costs more to ship than it does to sell the product. So if you can't sell it
So,
locally, yeah, that's pretty much what that
yep.
is.
So you stuck. So he had it listed, and I was lucky to negotiate with him, and he was nice enough to go down on the price for me. And I'm like, I live 3.5 hours away. I'll come and pay cash, and I'll pick it up today for you. And he's like, okay, you got it. Since you're coming today, yeah. So I drove 3.5 hours to go and pick those up and try to carry it into my house. That was not fun at all.
Mm, yeah, I can't imagine that. Yep. I ran
So
into some
those are
situations where
secondhand.
like, yeah, where I was like having to calculate the gas. I'm like, wait a minute, is this worth it or not? Because sometimes, yeah, you can
Yeah.
find some really good deals on. In my area in Kansas City, if you start getting out way, because Kansas is, pretty wide and it's not as big as Texas, but
Yeah.
you get some pretty rural, areas where it's like, yeah, there's not a lot of people that are into like home theater maybe. So you can find some better deals, but it's got to be worth the drive, because it's like 3 hours there, 3 hours back. How much gas is that? It's like, oh, well, wait a minute. That's another, $100 in gas and time. So,
There's also the risk too when you go into someone, and I
hmm
do this more often than I want to, is go into someone's random person's house and try to negotiate and get a piece of equipment from their home. I mean, it's not the safest, but the nice thing is, in Texas, you can carry a gun around with you, but it's still, I always have one in
but
my
but
trunk.
so can they. So that's
Then so can they.
Exactly.
It all
yeah,
depends.
that's the
It all depends
trade-off.
who can
I
pull
don't.
the quicker. Yeah, who can pull the
Yeah,
fastest trigger, pretty much. It's the
yeah,
quick and the
Three
dead,
paces.
right?
and I will tell you, if you have will and intent, you will not be the
Oh,
fastest.
man.
You
Yeah,
will not.
I will definitely always tell people to meet me somewhere publicly. That's
Yeah.
every time I've
Yeah.
done. I've
Here's your
even met
subwoofer.
people.
Oh, by the way, here's my gun too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The only
I,
problem when you meet in the middle is you cannot demo the unit. You don't know if it's working or not. Like
Right.
I kind of want to at least hear it for a few minutes to see, okay, is the woofer intact? Is there any leak around the woofer?
hmm
So yeah, I was very careful with those things, but then you have to be in someone's house to do so. So I'm
So
like,
you
well,
got us
that's the
looking at
risk you take.
the center channel and the subwoofer in the center of the room up there. Are you
Yeah.
what do they call that? Where you run the subwoofer with your center channel? Is that how you have it separated, or is
No.
it just
Mm-mm.
on the LFE channel?
It's on the LFE channel. I've thought about it, but it's just I don't know if there's any benefit to it because if you run it that way, then whatever that's sent to your center channel, it has to split and you say, okay, anything from 100 hertz down, it's gonna get sent to your subwoofer. But then I have so many subwoofer in the room, it may interfere with the other subwoofers. So there's no way
Right.
for me to measure it. But if I run it on my mini DSP, I can control it better and I can tune it to my liking and I can make sure that it's not facing out with the other subwoofer at all. So that,
Okay.
but that's the point is I believe Trinoff, right? Is it Trinoff that can actually the goal is you want to put a subwoofer next to one of your bed layer channel so that you can
Yeah, it
split
will
them so
actually
that
remap to the
it
nearest
remap
speaker.
for you.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Yeah.
hmm
So can you show us the Arvolution? Can you switch it to the
Yeah.
Arvolution so that we can
Yep.
see the
For
Zapiti
sure.
working with the Arvolution? I know I helped Chuck get his up and working. He actually had the Zapiti NAS. So to hearing that you had difficulties with it, I'm sorry that you did have that. I was unaware of that, or I maybe I would have been able to help you with that. But you know, his went pretty seamlessly. I mean, it once we got the files input, uh, showed it where to look, everything seemed
Mm-hmm.
to pop up pretty easily. So,
Yep.
but
And
yeah,
and here's the other thing why I love the Zapiti, because you have things like this.
Yep. That's the reason I do what I do. All the
Yeah,
all
the
the all the series and shows,
all
you
the
know.
series, all the series, and you can get the same experience on the. So I really think each equipment have their strength and have their weaknesses.
Yeah.
If you say there's one product that is the best and rule them all, there's no such thing. Same with in two-channel audios too, where you say, oh, I have one integrated amplified preamp that's in a box and that will do everything for me. There's really no such thing. So, yep. So, I forgot to mention to you, Don, is that I think the problem is how it find the files for you. That's the problem. Because if for me, I used to have so many sub photos,
right,
folders in one. So if I have one that say movies, and then in movie I have 4K movies, and then I have 3D movies, and then each one I have even subfolders after subfolders. So
yeah.
it confused the crap out of all Revolutions pretty much. It
Yeah,
doesn't know
you would
where
have
to
had to add
look.
each one of those folders individually. So I went
Yep,
away from that a
correct.
long time ago. I went straight because I used to want to separate them out too. I went away from that a long time
Yep.
ago. I just did movies and TV, and that's it. And then
So let me show you what I did. So I did that. So I move all of my movies into one freaking folder pretty
yeah,
much. And I have two Synology systems. So one has each. So I have the PD1 and the PD2. And I make it super simple. You got movies and you got series, and that's it. And it
right,
recognizes everything now.
okay,
Gotcha. Okay. And that's I
Yeah.
have movies. I do still have 4K movies, and then I have TV shows. But I used to kind of do the same thing where I
so
started to separate everything. I had Blu-rays, DVDs, I had, Atmos, and then it got to the point where when I started, you know, searching for different movies, I was like, shit, this is a pain in the ass. So I just put everything in. I was like,
Dump everything in
okay,
one folder. Yeah.
never mind. I'm gonna be
let me ask you this,
4K and movies.
John, when you with the Zapiti, there
Uh-huh.
was and I don't know if you kept this feature on or not, because you're running the Lumigen, but there was a magic pixel function
Uh-huh.
to where
Yeah.
it would upgrade the picture. Do you know if
Uh-huh.
that function is still available on the
No,
Arvolution?
it's not. I can't find it at all.
Okay.
I don't I haven't seen it at all. And the other thing too is with the Evolution, look, it has these available now. It wasn't there with Zapiti.
Yeah, we
So
had to
it's mapped correctly.
add our own cover art with that. Yep,
We have
you're
to add
right.
our own cover art, but now it's there. They so so not everything is bad. It's actually a good upgrade to the now of the
Yeah, I
scrolling
heard it
up
was
and
a lot
down.
more snappier.
Um,
Um, you know, I'd imagine they'll probably clean it up to where you can change background covers and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Now I
Different
can't wait.
skins.
Now I can't wait to unbox mine and give it a
No,
go.
I can still can. I can still
Oh, you can
change
change the
the skin
skins. Okay,
cover.
there.
Yeah, it's just more painful because you are changing it on your screen right now versus you change it on a computer. But the software on the computer is coming out pretty soon.
Right.
So yeah, so you can change it. It's just a little bit more cumbersome. But yeah, everything is working the way it's supposed to be. and
Perfect.
and let me show you my collection status, because and that's the reason I think that's the reason why it took forever too. It's that
Oh wow.
it's I have 2,245 movies and 6,600 episodes. So
Yeah,
when you
you
put it in,
definitely collect a lot more of the TV episodes than I would ever think of. I don't think I would purchase the series of Full House. So
hey,
that's why I
don't
told
don't
you you
hate,
have a
guy.
They go
problem.
on sale
Don't
sometimes,
don't
dude.
hate.
Yeah, I just got Voltron. I got like 3 or
Voltron.
4
I can understand Voltron.
sets
I
of
mean, but if you got
Voltron
Boy Meets
Well,
World on
you,
there
for
with the
you
menu,
want you here? I'll let you make fun of me some more. How about this, Don? Charles in Charge.
oh wow.
Mm.
That is so old, man.
Well,
That's
that's how
Scott
old I
Baio.
am, Ike. That's how old I am.
Look at that DuckTales. Yeah, that's
Oh,
DuckTales.
DuckTales. Yes, DuckTales.
oh man,
They
Fresh
were
nobody
on
can
Prince.
sale.
blame.
They were like,
No one
I,
can hate on you for DuckTales.
I would watch
uh,
DuckTales any day, man.
they were DuckTales. And this, G.I. Joe.
What about the
Oh,
Powerpuff Girls? You got the
now them
Powerpuff Girls
fighting
on there
words.
too?
If you're dogging on GI Joe, man, that's my jam.
So,
GI Joe. We
yeah,
got
Joe.
I did the Voltron. I did the
Joe.
Thundercats. I mean, you get a lot of those series now, like the whole
Yeah, uh-huh.
years of it for like $30. I've been able to get it.
No,
This is
Yeah.
new.
sometimes it's only
This
like
is new.
$10. Yeah.
Yeah, in stores, new, like packaged, the for
It's
stuff.
got the
Yeah,
Smurfs on there. Look at that.
The Smurf sign.
I can
And,
remember
and
laying on
this,
my couch
and this.
watching the
I
Smurfs
might
on
question
Saturday
you on
How
mornings.
this one.
how can you hate on this? Saved by the
No,
Bell.
I like
Yeah,
Saved by the
okay,
Bell.
okay,
So
yeah.
Oh, here's the other thing that I like too. It's that it make it easy. You know how before on Superior it has like little square
right.
um, file, but this is just you scroll down and you see it.
Oh,
It's
that is
I
nice.
think
I do
this is
like
an
that.
upgrade.
Now,
Yeah.
did you have
I
to
think
do
it's an
some
upgrade.
renaming of your files, or did it find them for you
Nope,
automatically?
they found them for me. Yup, all automatically now.
So you didn't have to
It's
do
so
like
much.
Saved by the Bell, S1, E3, or anything
Yup,
like
I
that.
did. I did, but I did it beforehand. I did it when I had the Zapiti, so I didn't
Okay.
have to do much. Yeah, it
Yeah.
just
And
went right
again,
over.
once you figure that stuff out, it's good and it's great. But that's where some of the other platforms, you don't even have to deal with that. Like if you're using like Apple TV or whatever, if you're good with that, and you just literally say, hey, I want to buy this movie for $5, But
And
there's always the risk. Did you have a lot of Disney movies or any Disney movies on your PlayStation? Because I know they got it. Was it
oh, they
which?
got removed. They got removed completely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's always a risk with if you don't have the
Yep.
one thing they can't do is get rid of your physical disc, and I do. I'm like you. I have a lot of discs. A lot of people
Yeah.
have all these digital things that they've acquired. I'm like, some of the rest of us that are true
Yeah.
enthusiasts. I like collecting the collections even. I like just
Me too.
seeing all the discs. Like I love my anime. Like I love Ninja Brothers and Bleach and Cowboy Bebop. I have all the discs, even though I never touched the discs. But it's like I
No.
want the discs there to where I see it like a book. Almost like a book. Type of
Mm-hmm.
deal. So, but
I gotcha.
we all
That's part of
appreciate
being
that.
a collector in you. Yeah, that's part of being a collector.
Exactly. Yep.
But my point is, this feature, it's gonna be really hard to get it on Kaleidoscape, unless you're willing to pay the 72 terabyte server, which is how much? 40 something $1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, extraordinary
Yeah,
amount of money.
that's a
And
hard pill to swallow. So I put my screen up pretty please. I'm a little disappointed because obviously I fell behind. We both been so busy with the holiday season and everything else that we haven't we speak maybe once or twice a week, but I'm a little disappointed. Can you share my screen, Ike?
Yeah, I'm working on doing that.
You gotta wake him up first. Like, wake
Oh,
up over there, Ike.
I'm a little
Someone was
disappointed
just
that I'm
complimenting
behind
on
you now
Ike's
by like
voice.
400 movies. I don't know what's going on. So,
Yeah, you see it
Oh
now.
man. You got you
1,863 movies.
you got a couple hundred more than me, so but yeah, I have a lot of seasons and stuff too. So
Now, granted, a lot of those movies are some of them are blue. Like I may have Iron Man in Blu-ray, Iron Man in 4K, Iron Man in 3D. You know what I mean? So
gotcha.
some of those may be tripled up. You know, but yeah, I'm a little disappointed that I'm way behind in the movie
Well,
collection process
well, you
now.
see, I have like two versions of Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter,
Right.
Mm.
which I don't even
One of
know.
those is
I
probably
which
3D though. It's probably incorrectly
probably
labeled.
probably one is 3D. You're right on
Yeah.
that because that's
Hmm.
probably one of my 3D. Same with Tintin. I bet you. So that's the other
Yeah.
upgrade that we're waiting for. Our Revolution is to recognize the 3D disc because
Okay. So,
Zapiti
so it
used to
doesn't
recognize the
recognize them
3D
as
disc.
3D.
Well, the Revolution may, you'll have to look into it because the naming conventions are, you might have to add like a squiggly bracket
Uh,
edition dash and then name it whatever edition you want, like theatrical or 3D, and then it will pop up. You'll have
So
to
I don't
look
know
into
when
the
you rip your
naming.
discs. I rip all mine. When I rip mine, I put on the end of it. I either put Blu-ray, 4K, or 3D. So that way,
mm-hmm.
if I were to click on, if you were to click on that right now and go to identify, it would tell me the file name, and I would say, okay, well, this is just listed as a Blu-ray, or this is a 4K, or the file name would come up. So if you do identify again, I think you can do identify again on when you click into that one.
Oh, oh, here we go. It
Uh,
just took.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't think I listed mine. Uh,
yeah. So when I titled mine, when I rip it out of Make MKV, I always add a 4K
3D
or a 3D on the end, or just Blu-ray. So that way I know if it pops up something different,
different.
then I can go to there and hit identify again, and I can look at it and see exactly
Oh yeah,
what the title
for like
is.
for like this one, like you said, I put Avatar:
Yeah.
Way of the
Oh,
Water
I like
4K
that. It
ISO.
pops it up right there. You don't even have to go into it. It says
Uh-uh.
Avatar Way of Water dash
Yep.
4K ISO.
But but right now you cannot change any of the category or anything right now. So
Okay.
that's gonna be probably a future update, kind of like the Zapiti, because you know how Zapiti you can change
Yeah,
the
you can change the
soundtrack
categories and all that
or
stuff. Yep.
category soundtrack, but you can't really change that right now. So
I
I
see.
mean it's still a very young program. It's just been out for a month. So,
Yeah.
we
I've already
we
paid
need to
for it. I
give
just
them,
haven't installed it yet. So
yeah,
I think it's like $60 for the year or something like that. $50 for the year, $60, something like that.
which I
So
really don't mind paying at all. I don't know why
right.
a lot of people have an issue
Compared
with
to
it.
paying what $2,000 for another player, it's worth it to me. And I'm just
Yeah.
grateful that they made it backwards compatible, to where
Mm-hmm.
we can install this, and into a piece of equipment that any other company would be like, well, it's useless now, So at least they did. I know a lot of people feel butthurt because of what happened, but it is what it is. It's business, and I'm just glad that they made it or allowed for a backwards compatible app to be used. So I think that's all just because it was Android based. Like you said, it's an open platform. So
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah,
but
I
yeah,
mean, as long as they
that's
don't repeat the
fantastic.
same,
You
as
know,
long as they
your
don't repeat the
theater.
same
I
mistakes,
mean,
right?
it
So,
it's definitely, you know, not a lot of people are sporting the Bowers and Wilkins anymore. You know, when you
Yeah.
look around,
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
like
the
it's
their
full
theater
cows.
because yeah, it is not a cold space. A lot of even themed rooms that are, really nice and they try to go for the cozy. A lot of them they're just so large and so it's like, yeah, okay, you got a theme going on, but it's really cold. Your space, you can tell, you can read your personality in your space, so you
Thank
get
you
that
for saying that, Paul.
warmth of, hey, this is a home theater. It's not a
Demo theater.
Theater
theater
room.
that's in a house, that's showing off. There's a character, and that's to me the difference, right? Because define what a theater is, define what a home theater is, right? Well, everyone
Yeah.
knows what a theater is. We've all been to a theater, right? But even home theaters nowadays that everybody's showing off, it's like, well, yeah, that's a theater, right? Like if I go to, we have, um, I forgot the name of it, but AMC bought them out. But there was a Cinetopia in our area that had like, lounge theaters that had like maybe 30 seats in it. We're talking cats, so you could do like a love seat, love sack, dual recliners, and there was a total of 30 seats in this whole theater room, full surround, everything, right? And each one of them was, kind of its own like little laid back theme. No like Star Wars theme or anything like that, because again, it was a theater, right? They were all theaters, and then they had the big, what they called GLX. It's like 3 stories tall, like literally. It looked like a football stadium, and it's a theater, right? And there was themes in some of them sometimes, but again, getting to the point where home theaters, you have that character and that design and what you're into, and you can read the personality of the person as opposed to, yeah, I'm into, something, and you can tell. It's more like, it's like, yeah, okay, that's a theme park, right? But is that your personality? Are you this and all this and nothing but this? Where you literally have multiple passions, multiple interests, and it's very comforting looking as well. And that's hard to do, But I
Thank
really like it. It's cool.
Thank you, Paul. I really appreciate your kind word, and mainly is I'm into movies and music. That's
Yeah.
the
Yep.
typical stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people have a $2 million theater, and it's like, when was the last time you watched a movie?
right.
A year ago.
Exactly.
Yep.
5 years
hmm
ago. It's like, oh,
5 years.
okay, that's cool. you know.
Latest
Or
purchase. Latest purchase on Kaleidoscape. What movie did you buy?
for me,
Yeah.
let me see. I'm gonna find out right now. I buy too many movies, so uh,
What was that's
I
a
bought
good
I
date.
bought
That's a good
Guardians of the
daily
Galaxy
question.
3 because it was on special for like $10 or
I,
something
I
like that.
bought
Oh, nice,
Hellboy,
nice.
Hellboy 2, and Hellboy Golden Army.
Okay.
Oh, nice. Okay, Ike, what's your latest movie purchase? Doesn't have to be like this week. What was your
Hey,
last movie
just
purchase?
don't bring the don't bring
Yeah. Oh
the
man. I
he
did
went
I
into
did
the
notice.
8 millimeter back there. The
I
eight
didn't hear
millimeter
what you
projector.
I didn't hear what you guys said, but I don't even want to care. Black Hawk
Upside
Down
down,
with
Black Hawk Down. There we
Buck
go.
down.
with
Yeah.
Dolby
One of
Okay.
my
Vision.
Okay.
favorite of
All
all
right. All
time.
right. I
So they have
literally
a
bought the latest, the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
so this one has
The
supposedly
and
has Dolby Vision. This isn't Dolby Vision, so it's
Come on, camera.
Camera, give it a second.
It likes to
you got to
focus on
put your
people.
hand in front of there first.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Rudolph.
You,
Are
you
you buying Rudolph or
Yeah, well
Frosty
Rudolph,
that
the
makes
Snowman?
sense.
Titanic.
It was Christmas. I
Yeah.
have a whole collection of
Man,
Christmas, all the old Christmas classics.
your autofocus is
Yeah,
out
it's
of whack.
killing me
Okay, it's
right
There
better
you
now.
go.
now.
There you go. That's
Titanic.
how you do it.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
no.
No.
Oh
Well,
man,
I
first of
heard
all,
this
I want to
4K
first of
disc
all,
is
it's a
phenomenal.
I
3 hour
want to
move, bro.
applaud you for waiting that long to have to buy that movie.
I'm
So
not
Paul,
I
do
watching
mean,
you
I
that
know?
have
movie.
it, but
Paul, do you
I'm
know
not.
how
I'm
many
not
version of
watching that
Titanic
movie
I
again,
have?
man.
I have
It's
like
too
6
long.
version of Titanic now.
No,
I
no,
do.
no. Okay. Like first of all, okay, okay.
Hey, Paul. I'm gonna edit that part out. Nobody's gonna hear that.
yeah, just remove it. Just like no, that never happened. It never was said out loud. Because first of all, honestly, and I can't really confirm this for everyone, but I would say most women don't care about 4K Titanic or not. They
no.
just yeah, there's probably some that do, and I'm not trying to exclude them, but yeah, if
I
you
bought it
bought one
because
version, normally
from what
that's
I've
all you
heard,
need.
was
They keep
the
remaking it for the
visuals were
guys to watch
excellent
on
in this
it.
movie.
God.
I was gonna say, you must really like it, Gene. You like the Titanic that much? Did they add? What did they do? Atmos,
Atmos
4K, DTS, special box edition.
special. Yep.
Did they have a a centerfold spread of your main boy in there on one of them or
Yeah.
No,
something?
but
That had
I
to be
think,
one edition.
but I think that the ship going down in Atmos and it's probably going to be impressive.
Well, from
But
what I heard,
I'm
it's
not
more
gonna.
like
It's too
the
long a
ambient
movie to
sound,
watch.
like in all the rooms and stuff like that. That's phenomenal on the new disc, and just the restoration of the color and everything
Yeah, I
else.
think
That
the color too will be.
yeah. So
But
I've
Yeah,
heard
it's
it's like
too
if
long.
you're
Lawrence of
coming,
Arabia good. You know.
did they film that in film? Was it really that
Yeah.
long ago? Was
I
it
think it
true
was
35
35,
millimeter
right?
Yeah.
Was
film?
it a film?
35.
Oh,
Yep.
Man,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well,
It,
yeah,
it's
if
not
you got
digital
some
at all.
movies into them, I mean, I got Flash Gordon, 4K,
But
and yeah, it looks friggin' amazing. When I saw it on that
Fred says you're
350Z
gonna feel like you're going
Sony,
down with the Titanic.
I don't think I
yeah.
want to feel that way, man. like,
Well,
like I
could you
want to. I
imagine
want to
having the
feel.
JMR D box seats with? Whoa!
Yeah.
Oh, that would be
Like
awesome.
I want to feel bass, but I don't want to feel like I'm going down with the Titanic
Well,
in a
it
dark
would
movie
give you
theater.
that as you were going under the water, maybe it would vibrate just enough
No.
to give you that gurgle effect, gurgle, 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 as you were drowning.
so as
No.
you mentioned, D-Box Don, actually the seats in my theater room, it comes with the bass sticker underneath there already.
Oh, really?
I just
So are
yeah,
you're not utilizing them at all?
I'm not. I have 4 subs behind each of those. I really don't think I can't make it shake even more. I mean, it'll take me out of the
I
movie.
think honestly where that would, and I don't know that you run into this situation. I think where those would really come into play is if you needed to listen at much lower volumes to not disturb
Correct.
people. But I mean, if you got a dedicated space, yeah, it's like why?
Yeah.
How
I didn't
much
even have it
shake
hooked up
do
at
you
all.
need?
On your 10 subs, where would you say your gain is set?
Oh,
On
okay.
the back of each one of them.
So the nice thing about the HTP one is you can set 6 different, 5 different direct settings for all of it. So what I do is I set all of my bed layers to reference. Okay. So reference meaning at 0 it'll hit 75 dB, right?
Okay.
On the 0 on your dial. So for movie, I set just regular movie. I set my subwoofer to be at 85 dB at 0 at reference. So that's 85, and then I have one for music, in which I decrease the subwoofer to to only so 85. I set it at 80 dB, so five or 6 dB lower than movies because I really don't want music to the bass to overwhelm it. So usually it's 6 dB lower than movies, and then I make one for movie plus. Movie plus, I add 3 more dBs. Music plus, I add three more uh, 3 more dB to the regular music. So it's a little bit more bass, and then I have another setting called IMAX, in which I set the subwoofer to 90 to 92 dB at reference. So it's
Okay.
15 to
So at
17.
reference, your peaks will probably hit what, 115, something like that.
Probably so. Yeah, if you
Yeah.
set it at 90, you can hit 115. That's my
Yeah. Okay.
understanding. So most movie I set it at 85, 85,
So
86.
do you have the I know you're back in front of your computer now. Do you have the capability of showing your REW graph for all your subs blended, or is
I
that on another computer?
No, I I took pictures of it, but I took so many pictures of it, so it's gonna be hard. Oh, it's on my phone, which is the camera, which is in the theater room. But I can
Okay.
share that with you. Yeah. So
Yeah, you can share
so
that
so here's the
offline.
thing. Here's the interesting thing when I calibrate my sub, and here's the other thing too, is that people think, okay, you have to do a house curve, you have to make it flat, you have to make it standard to everybody. Don't buy into that. That's my whole point. You have to listen to your ears to see what kind of curve you like for your sub.
Right.
Because for me, if I run it flat, meaning just a flat curve all the way down to 10 dB, I don't like it. I feel like there's too much subsonic sub in there, subsonic sound that I really don't like. It doesn't feel good to me at all. So
Okay.
usually I let it drop around after 16 hertz. I let it roll
Okay.
off after 16 hertz. And I like that sound for me a little bit better. Oh, there's a
So
little bit less like how to.
the infrasonics, you're not chasing the infrasonics with the
I'm
10
not.
subs.
I'm not.
You're just
I'm
trying to basically get rid of nulls.
get rid of nose and make every seat as best as possible. And that's
Yeah.
why I only
Okay.
have 4 seats. Because I'm sure if I have more than 4 seats, it'll be even harder to play around. So every seat, pretty much, my curve is pretty much almost the same.
And
There's not much variation.
where did you get the idea to place your subs where you did? Obviously near field, I know you have to go with those right behind the seat, but you had what, four subwoofers in each corner, and then you had
Mhm.
two on each side.
Yep.
So what guidelines did you follow for that, or was that
So,
something
so
you experimented with?
yeah, I experiment a lot. So before I actually have 2 subs that's right next to my rack in that little corner also to see if it can and smooth out some of the nose. So I used to have two of the monolith 15-inch right there in the corner where it's flanking my 2 racks to see if that going that sideway will also breaks off some of the nose and it did not. So I moved the subs around a lot to be able to see which one. And there's no way to guess on it. You have to do measurements.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, it's interesting to see how. I would like to see how, and I've seen, but it'd be interesting for you to show. Maybe next time you come back on, which obviously you have an open invite whenever you're able to enjoy to join us. You know, maybe you can share some of those measurements that you took with, and because I know speaking with you that you were spending several hours tuning those subs, not and not just like one or two, like five or six,
No,
you know,
each
hours.
each time actually when I'm gonna have to recalculate everything again because I put in new rugs. So whenever you change anything in your room, putting in new rugs, moving your seat around, or moving your speaker around just by a couple inches, you have to redo everything again because it's
Yeah.
going to change the sonic tremendously. So since I put in new rugs in the past 2 weeks, I'm waiting to have some free time to redo all of my calibration again. And so yeah, each time I actually dive into calibration, especially when I'm tuning each subs, it takes anywhere from 9 to 10 hours. It's a whole entire day thing, and
Wow.
it's so much of thinking
Have you
involved that I
seen the new video on? Well, I don't know if it's new, but Home Theater Gamer released a video on RAW and some of the new features where it will auto time align um, instead of
really
you having to manually do timing references
okay
for each one of
yeah
your speakers, so you can do easier EQ
right
calibrations on averages and stuff like that. It's only in a
I
beta,
think it
I guess,
okay
right now. So you'll have to
I
look
think it
that
may be
up.
hard for
It's
me to
pretty
do because I'm
cool. It's a
running
pretty cool
yeah
feature that I was like, oh, that's nice. So
I definitely will have to check it out, but it's pretty hard to run two mini DSPs separately and try
I
to get
have
everything to
two
three
mini
two and
DSPs.
two three.
Yep.
So
Yep.
good. So I don't feel like I'm the only one who's running crazy calibration.
I've been thinking about doing the 88A just to have it all in one,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
because it's like, man, you get to, and those daisy
That's a
chain.
10 channel one?
It's
Eight.
only eight
Eight.
eight
Eight.
channels, but you
Oh,
can
okay.
technically, there's a, I don't know if there's a communication bus or how it works, but you can daisy chain up to a certain amount of those
Mm,
88As, and they'll all work together with the same
together.
software type of deal. So
Okay. Yeah, I've not seen that. I thought there was a 10 channel one also that they have. It's
and it
been a
might be
while
a
since I
all
looked at them though.
digital. Yeah, they have a lot of all digital stuff that's really great for intermediate stuff. But if you're just talking straight analog to an amplifier, it's a little bit different. And most of what we buy as consumers is usually you need the analog type of interface. But if you're doing like full legit, like sound stage, you can get away with a lot of that digital stuff because you're just using SPDIF or, coax for a certain amount of channels. And it's just a little bit
Yeah.
different, but you're not getting the same. It's different because you're not necessarily, you're bypassing Atmos and stuff like that. You're just using those types of interfaces for sound, as in your own sound. Like I see a set of drums behind you, right? That right there could take literally 12 channels of audio alone.
Right. Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yeah,
No. I mean, it's definitely a complicated thing, but if you have the right tools and the right know-how, it's something that can be accomplished, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's
yeah.
so I don't have the experience with it, so I'll definitely be leaning on some help from probably two of the individuals, maybe three of the individuals on this podcast or live stream. So once I get mine set up, so on that note, Ike, if you wouldn't mind putting this last picture up, sharing here. I know we're at about 3.5 hours here, so this last picture up on the screen so that John Anthony could just tell us about a recent purchase that he had here in his third area
Yep.
of home theater.
So I can definitely, do a little tour of this in one of our future podcasts. But this is my latest and greatest pride and joy. Is the Cornwalls, and these are the original Clips Cornwalls that is almost as old as I am. It's 42 years old at this point. So, and I found this online, and the gentleman who's also a very much a home theater and music enthusiast he was a little reluctant to let them go, but he's moving and he lives in Houston, but he already put down a purchase for a new home. So he has to move and he didn't want to bring them along with him. So he put it online. And guess what? Again, I drove to Houston to pick them up. And I was able to pick them up. And initially, I was just going to run a two-channel in my living room, but then my kids want to watch movie out there too, so I'm like, okay, I need a center channel, but how am I going to get a center channel to match those corn walls and also not to match, but to match it sonically with the same age and the same wood finish and the same grills and all of that. So I was lucky. 3 days later, I found a listing on Facebook on this guy in Austin who's selling a pair of the Clips Heresy, also the original Clip Heresy, and it looks exactly like my Cornwalls. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm gonna be taking half the day off from work and driving to Austin to pick them up. So I pick up a pair. So I use one of them as my center speaker, and then the other one as my back speaker. So you get some ambient sound in the back too. And it's a living room. I don't need it to be Dolby Atmos or anything. I'm not gonna hang speaker off of my ceiling. I have that as the theater room, so it's a very simple setup that to play music. It's amazing, and that's the reason why I had to buy the Eversolo DMP A6 so I can run Runes lossless audio on there and also runs Apple Music on there too.
Now,
So
are
I'm looking
those
to
do
test that.
those speakers have do those clips? And I know most clips have horns. Do those have horns also?
Yep,
I'm not
yep,
familiar with
the
those.
original horns. Yeah,
They're,
when I do the tour, I'm gonna take off the grill so you can see it. But and they're in great condition. It's actually previously was owned by this gentleman back in the '80s that he bought it way back then, and he passed away. So his wife didn't know what to do with them. So she sold it to the guy in Houston, and he owned it for 2 years, and now he has to move. So I was lucky to find it. I sure because I went to the AV store and I'm like, I really love the sound of Cornwalls, and I was gonna put my money down and have one specially made the Cornwall for. But I'm like, do I want to spend that crazy amount of money in the living room? So I was looking to get a used pair, and I found the original, and I'm like, I can't really pass this up because usually you don't get original the Skyla, original Cornwalls, so or the Clips horn. So these were very special, and they sound phenomenal. They just sound, and there's not much to drive them. I'm running them through a Denon right now. Not You don't need many
yeah, I
watts to
think
drive them.
most of those older, like the Heresy, like you said, the Cornwalls, the Los Gatos, I think they're all at least 90, 92, 93 dB sensitive around there.
No,
I
actually,
believe.
these are 102 sensitive.
Oh wow, yeah, yeah. So
They're
like you
102.
said,
It doesn't take anything to
all you
drive them.
need is about 30 watts to drive them, and you're fine. You
Probably
know.
5 watts to drive them. Yeah, but I would love
So
to do a little tour of the living room later
yeah,
on. Yeah.
that would be awesome. Also, well, on that note, I'm going to segue into this. As John Anthony mentioned, that he's been putting this home theater together for several years, 12, 13 years now, putting all this equipment together. And as he mentioned, you know, a lot of the stuff was bought secondhand. So it's not, it's looking for the right time, looking for the right deals, looking, keeping your eye open for something that you actually want to add to your theater or to your two channel. You know, that way, you're not breaking the piggy bank or going into debt, trying to fund your hobby. So as Youth Man would call it, a Youth Man deal, right? So those deals are out there, you know. So make sure you guys are, if you're getting into this hobby, make sure that you are, trying secondhand. I have a lot of secondhand stuff myself. You know, I did purchase some of my speakers new, some of them secondhand. I purchased speakers from Chana for my rear surrounds. So I've purchased excuse me, not my Zapiti, but my Kaleidoscape secondhand. There's a lot. I have a projector that was secondhand. My first screen that I purchased was secondhand. So which is a black diamond, which I'll probably wind up selling if I don't use that in my room, my dining area. That's going to be converted. But yeah, I mean, the moral of the story here is just to look out for those deals and slowly build your theater to what you want. With that being said, if you haven't subscribed to Easy HT Tech Ike's channel, make sure you subscribe to that channel. If you haven't subscribed to Horizon Home Theater, please make sure you go over there and subscribe. And we're gonna go ahead and add two more things to this. If you haven't gone on Facebook on the groups and subscribed to the Monolith HT enthusiasts and the Lubigen Mad VR Panamorph and HT enthusiasts, make sure you guys join that group. There's a lot of good conversations going on over there. And one last please subscribe to is Positron Hi-Fi.
Yeah, and I
Positron?
think I'll finish
Go
up.
ahead.
I was gonna add one
Go
more.
ahead.
No, I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say we also created a Facebook group for the Home Theater Hub, so we
Yes.
share that
Yeah.
out.
So
Feel free to join that also.
yeah, feel free to join the Home Theater Hub Facebook group. The more chat, the merrier. As mentioned before, if you've been on the show and you like to come on, by all means, you have the link. I don't believe we changed the link, and if we have, just reach out to us. All of you guys have our phone number. We'd like to have this as one big community. Happy New Year, everyone! Really appreciate all the support that we've had over the past couple weeks. I really enjoy doing this, and I hope you guys are enjoying the show also. We'll see you in the next video.